A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to East London. We are here for day number 3 of the World Para-Swimming Championships 2019. The fans are here, the swimmers are getting ready backstage, and we are almost ready to commence action on our third day of these championships. 11 world records have already tumbled here in London as this iconic venue once again becomes home to some of the world's best para-swimmers, 7 years removed from that Paralympic Games in 2012. The youngsters have been out in force in this morning's heats and in the evening as well. A truly worldwide event encapsulating everything that the word legacy stands for after that Paralympic Games in 2012. This is the scene currently outside the London Aquatic Centre, and this is the scene currently inside. The blocks are ready to play host to some of the very best para-swimmers in the world. We are less than 350 days away from the Paralympic Games in Tokyo, and we cannot wait for that. Before that, though, we've got the new world standard to set over the course of the next week. Myself, Stephen Jamieson, alongside Paralympian Liz Johnson for day number 3. Liz, we've had a phenomenal first couple of days. It's going to be tough, really, for the rest of the competition to live up to the billing, but I have a slight suspicion they're going to manage it.
Absolutely. Day 3 has got a lot to live up to.
Well, we've seen breakout swims from some new para-swimming stars, the likes of Zhang Yuyan of China, a world record in the 400 free S6, in the very second final of the entire event. The crowd are enjoying themselves inside, lots of nations represented. You can always tell when the Swedes are in, and you'll always know when the Irish are in. Here's what we've got to look forward to with today's schedule. We've had a bit of a freestyle day, we've had a bit of a backstroke day. If anything, today's a bit of a breaststroke day. Plenty of the breaststroke to come, kicking off with the men's and women's SB 1400 metres. We kick off with the backstroke, though, for the men's S2. And then we have plenty more on the way. The first 150 individual medley, that's the medley for our lower classifications. We'll go into the men's 400-metre freestyle as we start to head towards the end of this morning's session in the S10s. The women will then follow, some more breaststroke on the way, and we end with the mixed 4x50 freestyle relay, 20 points. We had the medley relay equivalent last night, China setting a brand new world record. That world record, one of 11 to tumble over the first couple of days here in London. This pool synonymous with para-swimming, with that Paralympics in 2012. This whole park feels like it's almost laid as a testament to that Games, the Olympics and Paralympics in 2012. And as part of the legacy, the swimmers are back for the World Championships 7 years later, a year before the biggest Paralympics ever, potentially in Tokyo. They're making some noise inside the venue. We are not too far away from our first event, the men's 100 metres backstroke S2. Our first heat of that one to come. Just the one heat of this race. We'll be dropping one athlete down into tonight's final. Here we go then. And immediate reversal for Dimitrios Karapidis of Greece. One of the great para-swimming figures, the S1 swimmer. And this is an S2 race, but there are some S1 swimmers within it. They can break world records, but the gold medal will go to whichever swimmer touches in first. And here's the start list for the first race of the day, the men's 100 meter backstroke S2. Alberto Abartha of Chile is the headliner in lane 4 on this one. He'll have good competition either side of him from two Russians, Makarov and Danilenko. The S1s are Shalabi and Karapidis in 8 and 9, and in 1, Anton Kol of Ukraine.
Well, in this event, we've got a mix of athletes. It's a combined event, so there are some S1 athletes thrown in here. They are Anton Kol of Ukraine in lane 1, then Iyad Shalabi of Israel in lane 8, and Dimitri Karapidis of Greece, that familiar figure on the Paralympic circuit. But here we can see a variety of dim strokes. This event is for the most impaired male swimmers in the Paralympic program, and as a result we can see a variety of strokes and techniques being employed. Up there in the top of your screen, Christopher Tronco of Mexico there in lane 7, using that breaststroke style leg kick on his back to propel him through the water. But these three athletes in the center of the pool with the white caps, similar strokes but different arm techniques. Very limited in the range of motion that these three athletes have.
Yeah, if you're not overtly familiar with para swimming, it has classifications ranging from S1 all the way through to S14. And those are based upon different impairments and different range of motions, as Liz said. The lower the category generally, the slower the swimmer. And those in these lower categories, the S1 and S2, it is remarkable just how well they swim and what power they can produce in the water. It's going to be close here as they come into the final 15 metres between those middle lanes. They have got a final tonight, and these three will now know they're pretty much guaranteed to be in it. So they might just ease up and try and conserve some energy into tonight's final. Looks like the winner's going to come from lane number 5. That's Vladimir Danilenko of Russia, and he does indeed take the touch. Second place will go to Alberto Abartha of Chile in lane 4, and Alexander Makarov takes third place.
Well, as the other athletes now come into the finish, those three first to touch all went world quickest times this year, so they've signalled their intent for this evening, and they will be back on fighting it out for a place on the podium.
Well, that's what we love to see. Vladimir Danilenko, there is your winner.
There we can see the different style and strokes. All athletes with only use of their upper arms. The winner using his shoulders to drive his stroke into that wall and getting a slight advantage over everybody else in those final stages.
Here is Dimitrios Karapidis coming to the finish in lane 9 for Greece. to complete his race and to complete the race as well. One heat and the men's 100 backstroke S2. The women's equivalent is going straight to a final. We'll see those ladies later on. And here are the results. It's Danilenko who wins it. Abatha takes second place, and Makarov was in third. The two to drop then from tonight's final will be Santian and Karapidis. 8 through to the finals this evening. Almost ready to go for our next event, the men's 100 fly S8. Some really quick swimmers going in this one. Robert Griswold, the backstroke world champion as of last night from the USA, goes in fourth. Michał Golus of Poland is very quick over the fly. And plenty of competition to come in the outside lanes as well.
Well, we saw Robert Griswold dominate the 100-metre backstroke yesterday to win that gold medal, but he'll have more of a challenge on his hands if he wants to taste podium success again this evening. And we see that best start there coming from lane number 2. It's Yang Wanglong of China, got black cap, but there we see the strength of Robert Griswold now starting to overhaul the athletes with the arm impairment. He gets a bit left on the block because he doesn't have the power in his legs to generate off the start, and we see those athletes with the arm amputations really maximising the 15 metres underwater, because that's the fastest way to travel if you are capable of doing so.
As they make their way back down now towards the finish, here comes Robert Griswold. Had such a good day yesterday, and it will have filled him with so much confidence heading into day number 3. He's in good form, is the American. 64.37 is quick. And that is the man who was one heat number 1, an expression that just says job done for Robert Griswold. 64.37 the time. He'll be looking to go as close as possible to that 60-second barrier, maybe even underneath it a little bit later on.
There we see he breathes to the side to try and keep as flat as possible, because he doesn't have that leg kick to power him up and through and over the water, so he has to generate as much forward momentum as possible. And that great camera shot there was a display. It showed us just how well he manages to do that.
He'll take some stopping tonight, that's for sure. A couple of swimmers in this next race, though, who will have plenty to say about that. In lane 4, the headliner in this one, Greece's Demosthenis Mitchell-Zakis, also a world champion at this meet already. Jesse Ongol's got himself on the podium behind Robert Griswold yesterday. Gabriel Cristiano Silva de Sousa of Brazil is in lane 5. And those three have made good starts at the beginning of this 100 fly second heat.
Well, Robert Griswold that we saw in the first heat, he does come into this event top of the world rankings this year, but we know that the Greek Mitchell-Zakis in lane 4 is in fine form. He showed a lot of speed to win that 100 freestyle on day 1, but Gabriel Silva de Sousa of Brazil in that yellow cap is trying his hardest to stick with him. He's more of a 50 specialist, so now we can see that strength of Mitchell-Zakis starting to pull away from the rest of the field. That spearhead that we know and love in the world of swimming. where the fastest athletes tend to be in those centre lanes is coming into the fourth as we come into these closing stages.
And into the wall they go. It is Mitchell-Zakis who gets there. Jesse Yongel's another good swim from the Australian. And Niels Mortensen of Denmark up into third place there. But he's had a really good week so far, Demosthenis and Mitchell-Zakis.
He looked very comfortable there this morning. And he knows when you've got that confidence of a good swim already in the bag, backing you up, it enables you to try different things in the heat. And there he let Gabriel de Souza of Brazil take him out to the turn pretty much, keeping company, and then just pulled away in those final stages. And that, as I said, is the sign of an athlete with swimming with great confidence.
Yeah, the one-armed fly from Mitchell-Zakis. He's got a lot of power generated from his legs as well. Very, very talented swimmer. And that race between himself and Griswold is set to be a real corker tonight.
Yeah, they're very different techniques, very different styles due to the difference in impairment, but overall, they're pretty evenly matched throughout the 100 metres.
Move on to the women's iteration of the 100 fly S8. Athletes just about ready on the blocks. And this could be the closest women's S8 race of the week. Jess Long of the USA ready to get in once again into this London Aquatic Centre pool. She's chasing her 40th World Championship medal.
So again, we see a ranging impairment type in this classification group. The double leg amplitude, Jessica Long in that centre lane. She doesn't get as much distance off of the block, and the arm amputees do get that initial advantage. But the power that Jess Long demonstrates through such a phenomenal technique. See, she's already up with 50 metres to go of the first 50 metres. She'll look to lose a bit on the turn. She'll try, she's worked really hard to minimise the deficit that she does experience, but then she'll power home down the final 50 metres, and she'll look to get herself a good lane draw for tonight, because she knows, as you said, Steve, this is a competitive event in the S8 class, and she could really be in the mix for a medal, and she wants to be in that race. Jessica Long thrives on competition.
Yeah, she's gone so long, not with no competition, but dominating the S8 category. I'm sure she's actually relishing the challenge that Alice Tythe provided over the last couple of years. Gives her an extra bit of motivation. She is fresh and she is fighting in the pool this week. 110.31 for Jessica Long. That is not bad going for a heat swim. Only about 5/10 out of her quickest time this year. Denisenko takes second place in lanes 5 for Ukraine. And third going to the Canadian Danielle Doris.
Well, there we see the difference in those starts, but as you said, Steve, Jessica Long has been a force to be reckoned with in this S8 category for a number of years. Burst onto the scene as a 12-year-old back in Athens in 2004, and she's seen people come challenge her and then leave, and she's been the one that has been there the entire time, reproducing these results, rising to the challenge, and she really does enjoy the 100 metres butterfly.
Yeah, she's got such wonderful technique. It's going to be a really, really good race tonight if the battle that we're anticipating comes to fruition. And the battle that we're anticipating is Jessica Long of the USA versus Alice Tythe of Great Britain, already a two-time world champion this week. Jessica Long knows that there is still hard work to do later on this evening. Here comes Alice Tai then in lane number 4. Claire Supio has had a good week so far. She goes in lane 3. As the Russian Victoria Ischilova goes in lane number 5.
Well, there we see the athletes getting away very well. Alice Tai doing well there to keep up the deficit that the arm amputees normally get over her. She's up and into her stroke already, and we see that black cap of Great Britain already having a phenomenal week. Alice Tai, 2 gold medals, a world record. This is a world record she doesn't yet hold in the S8 category. In fact, it is held by her Great Britain compatriot Stephanie Slater, who broke that at the European Championships in the Netherlands back in 2014. But Alice Tai here going out strongly, 2 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. Closest to a Lu Weian of China.
As they make their way back down, it's Alice Tai who commands this one. She's enjoyed such a good championship so far. She's got a really busy program this week. The challenge is to just keep on going. She's going to be close to 68 seconds. It's a really good swim, this from Alice Tai. A good response to the swim from Jess Long. 1:11.31 from Tai. She'll have lane 5 in the final later on. And that battle that we are anticipating, disqualifications pending, which I don't think we're going to see, is on. Long versus Tai in the fly. Cannot wait for that race.
Yeah, this is probably the one event where Alice Tai is going to have the biggest challenge. Jessica Long, we shouldn't discount Katerina Denisenko of the Ukraine. She's a phenomenal athlete as well. She's got more time to go, as has the Russian Victoria Ischilova, who hardly got a mention there in that race with Alice Tai because Alice Tai was so far ahead in the picture. But I expect it to be a lot closer this evening, because when the final comes and when the pressure's on, that's when the nerves play their part.
They certainly do. Although from the outside looking in, Alice Tai has just seemed so cool and composed this week, almost nerveless, which must be impossible. There's no way she's not feeling some degree of pressure from this week in a home games.
But she has said,
which does come in as the favourite in a lot of races.
She has said actually she's back to a point where she's loving her swimming. She cares about it again. She feels invested in it because of the training she's done and the relationship she's got with her coach and her home program now. And actually she is feeling nervous because she feels like there's more at stake, whereas before she felt more like she was swimming for other people.
Here's the results of heat number 2. It is Alice Tai who wins it. 1:11.31. Victoria Ischilova of Russia in second and Lu of China in third. Claire Supio will make tonight's final as well. There's confirmation of those times. Jessica Long, a bit of a statement swim this morning. 1:10.31, a full second quicker than Alice Tai. So excited for that final later. Here comes the next event. Men's 200 metres medley, SM6. Taliesin Glock, the Brazilian, the quickest into this race.
And there we see that yellow hat of Taliesin Glock in lane 4, but the best start coming from Wang Yingyang, the butterfly specialist of China, up there in lane 7 at the top of your picture. He's already a body length ahead, but the thing with an individual medley is there's 4 strokes and everybody has to use them wisely, play to their strengths. If you have a particularly weak stroke, then it can cost you over the course of this medley race. But Wang does have an advantage. He is the stronger breaststroke in terms of classification because he is an arm amputee, so he has 2 strong legs. Breaststroke, a dominant leg stroke. But here we see Wang, but Taliesin Glock is a great backstroker. Been off the pace slightly for the last few years, but he's looking to get back in action and back on top of the rankings as we run into the Paralympic year. Wang here, though, looking incredibly strong.
Goodness me, what a start it has been from Wang Jinggang of China. Absolutely smashing this so far. And it does get to a certain point where you wonder if he will get reined in. And it gets to a certain point where you think, well, there's just no more room left in the pool for it to happen. He leads 1:16.09 is the time at the halfway point. Fantastic pace being set here by the Chinese swimmer out in lane number 7.
Well, this is where you would expect the Mexican brothers in 5 and 6, Juan and Raul Cortes Bermudez, to make up a bit of ground on this breaststroke leg. They are more suited to this. Taliesin Glock, one side, double amp, but all down one side. So it's very difficult to generate power and swim in a straight line on breaststroke. So you have to adapt your stroke. But here we see Wang swimming goggleless. Breaststroke not his strongest, and we can see the field are coming back at him, but he'd given himself such an incredible advantage over the first 100 that he will turn for home in the lead with a sizable advantage. Yeah,
he's got a really distinctive freestyle as well. You'll see that right arm start to windmill him forward. He was very, very quick over the freestyle. The fly has given him such a platform. But the rest of the field are starting to close the gap. In lane number 5, the closest to him is Juan Jose Gutierrez Bermudez of Mexico.
And Antoni Ponce Bertran of Spain has put on a charge as we come down this final 15 meters to go. We can see the Black Cat of Spain trying to get ahead of the rest, but it is Thijs van Hoevegen of the Netherlands who's challenging Ponce Bertran for that third touch.
No doubt about the winner, though. That is Wang, followed by Gutierrez, and then it is Thijs van Hoevegen of the Netherlands who just gets in front of Antoni Ponce Bertran, who's actually showing a European record in his class. This is a slightly mixed event. Only one SM5 swimmer in it, and that is Antoni Ponce Bertran, swimming up a category here in the SM6s. And he has broken the European records for the SM5s. That's how quickly he went. Great swim from the Spaniard, but what an impressive swim from Wang Jinggang of China. Those first 2 legs, he looked absolutely unstoppable. Came a little bit unstuck is harsh, but got reined in a touch on the breaststroke, but a really strong swim overall.
Yeah, that's what we say about those medley races. Said at the beginning, it does come down to actually who's got the best 4 strokes, and it almost comes down to how strong your weakest stroke is rather than how strong your strongest stroke is. And he really made the most and then held his own on that breaststroke leg.
And as someone who struggles to swim backstroke without goggles in a pool, I cannot believe he's doing a medley goggleless over on that far side. Fantastic stuff from Wang Jinggang of China. Gutierrez in 2nd place. Thijs van Hoevegen picks up 3rd. A European record in the SM5s for Antoni Ponce Bertran of Spain. Second heat coming up. Andrei Granichka takes the central lane for this one. He's got Nelson Crispin and Yang Hong for company in those medal lanes. Granichka has been flying so far at this championships. Already set a world record. He did that on night number 1 late on. The last events of the night, if I remember rightly. And slightly new on the scene in the sense, Andrei Granichka. We've not seen much of the Russians, of course, over the last few years. But a fantastic world record in the breaststroke, so keep an eye on that 3rd leg for Andrei Granichka. That's where he could really hammer home an advantage.
Yeah, and similarly, we've been watching these athletes play to their strengths. Nelson Crispin knows Granichka is a strong 400-meter freestyler. We saw him get the silver medal in the very first event of the program at these World Championships. So Crispin needs to get as far ahead as he can. He will try and maximise the breaststroke, because on this medley, your classification in the 200 individual medley, or 150 for that matter, is made up of the combination of the other strokes. And Granichka is actually a brilliant breaststroker, but he is an SP5 breaststroker, whereas Nelson Crispin is an SP6 breaststroker. So what will happen is Crispin, not the strongest backstroker of the 2, not the strongest freestyler of the 2 over a more endurance-based event, But that is why we'll see him try and push the fly as he did, and now push the breaststroke. Of course, it is just a heat, so we won't see him completely go crazy. But again, in an event that's going to be competitive in the final, often you want to get yourself in a good lane, in a good position, so you are in the mix when people push for home.
Yeah, this is one of the first times these two will have met in a pool. These two fantastic swimmers, Nelson Crispin and Andrei Granichka. Nelson Crispin had a great night last night, got himself on top of the podium. Colombia's first gold of the championships. And after 3 silvers in Mexico, he's looking to get that upgraded in colour, and he's going the right way about it. Granichka has made a difference on the breaststroke, but not quite enough. Now it's all on the free. Crispin leads them home. Granichka a second and a half back, with Christakis of Greece way back in third. It's between these two, as we suspected, as they come for home.
Yeah, we saw a strong breaststroke leg there from Granichka. Because of the way he swims it, he has less ability to go through the gears. And actually, when you have a leg impairment, you don't lose your legs for breaststroke, or freestyle for that matter. Often you have fast, slower and slow. So you don't have that luxury that some of the athletes with a leg kick have to control the gears as well. But Nelson Crispin here is going to take this win comfortably, led from start to finish, ahead of Granichka, but only by 0.64 in the end. And we're in for exciting races this evening.
Oh, for sure. Granichka made up a second on that freestyle, by the way, over 50 metres, which is very impressive, given Crispin's real pace over the freestyle. Might just have eased off the Colombian, that would be totally understandable. But 2:47.04, the winning time for Crispin, Colombia's flag bearer at the last Paralympics. Granichka staking his claim just behind him in second place. Another race that's, well, set up quite beautifully.
Yeah, Granichka definitely a man in form. Nelson Crispin proved that he is as well, and this really is the place where all the strokes, all the strengths, all the techniques meet in the individual medleys.
Confirmation of the times then, an oceanic record for Hamish McLean of New Zealand. Fantastic swim for him, behind in third place. He'll get himself into tonight's final. Nelson Crispin and Andrei Granichka, though, will be going for gold, no doubt about it, a little bit later on. Confirmation of the finalists then, it is Crispin, followed by Wang Xingang, and then Granichka. And look at the difference in times. So little between them, 6/10 separate the leading 3 heading into the final. Another race that we cannot wait for.
Well, we have been blessed with some super quick swimming, some super close racing. It's a very exciting racing. So far, this World Championships has been a brilliant advert for para swimming.
Here comes the women's, though, and there'll be a lot of interest in this one. Nicole Turner for Ireland is well supported inside the venue here today. Yelizaveta Mareshko has already enjoyed a fantastic World Championships. Song Ling Ling, a perennial contender for the S6s. This is the women's 200 metres individual medley, SM6 heats, starting with heat number 1.
Take your marks.
And there's so many questions coming into this women's 200 IM. We've seen Yelizaveta Mareshko so many times already at this competition, testament to how versatile and how talented a swimmer she is. But it's that familiar rivalry, isn't it? We've got Eddie Simmons coming up in the second heat alongside the world record holder Maisie Summers-Newton. Verena Schott coming up later on as well. But in this one, Nicole Turner and Song Ling Ling, this is an event where you've got so many potential medal winners, and Mareshko hasn't enjoyed the best World Championships so far. Not necessarily her fault, but her old standards, which were world record setting and World Championship winning, haven't been good enough so far. She's been overtaken by some of the new athletes.
Yeah, and this is the one event actually where the 4 top athletes in the world keep changing, because again, we talk, there's so many variables, and if someone just makes a bit of progress on one length, one stroke within it, then it can make a difference to the podium. And we saw that Mereshko, she could get a silver medal at the European Championships, but she was the one of the 4 that missed the podium in Rio in 2016 at those Paralympic Games. Nicole Turner of Ireland, a very, very strong butterfly swimmer, very good breaststroker, so we'll look for her to try and maintain this position now behind Yelizaveta Mereshko, who we also know, fantastic breaststroker. She won gold in this on the first night of these championships. And the key, as we've said before on a medley event, is to try and minimise the weakness of your weakest event. Make that stronger. And we do. If you speak to medley swimmers, they spend a lot of time working on the weak stroke to minimise the advantage that they're giving to their competitors. But here we see Mereshko, again, comfortable. Like you said, Steve, she hasn't swum badly this week by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But the depth and quality of the S6 category across the events, across the globe, and actually across the years has been incredible. And Mereshko rose to the challenge. She was once the newbie on the block. She surprised Ellie Simmons, she surprised the world, and now you've got that target on the back, you're the one being chased.
Yeah, is Zhang Yuan the new Yelizaveta Mereshko? Could well be. And we see Mereshko turn into home. Nicole Turner giving chase. She has made up ground in the breaststroke as we thought she might, but it might not be enough to get her anywhere close to the leading pair, which is Yelizaveta Mereshko and Song Ling of China. Mereshko cruising along here. She's got such a wonderful freestyle.
Yeah, and she has the ability to up that stroke rate when she needs to. There she's looking pretty comfortable. There's no doubt that she's going to take this heat. And then Song Ling of China, the silver medalist at the Paralympic Games. She hasn't swum badly either. She's been breaking Asian records, but again, not getting on the podium because of the quality in the field of these SM6 events.
Well, 3:02.87 from Mereshko is very nicely done indeed, only just outside championship record sort of pace. It's generally pretty tough to see how Yelizaveta Mereshko is feeling, because she's generally smiling all the time. You can never quite tell when she's done badly.
It's true. I don't know if it's a game face, but we do recognise that smile all of the time, and I think that's the thing. She's clearly someone that really enjoys what she's doing.
Yeah.
You never see the pain etched on her face.
But she must enjoy it, because the 200 IN, the pace she swims it has to get to the point where it starts to hurt and it starts to burn. But she's so confident. As soon as she gets onto that 4th leg, if she's got a chance and she's onto that freestyle, she'll always back herself. So quick over the free, holds all 4 freestyle world records in the S6s.
Yeah, she did really have an amazingly brilliant Paralympic Games, European Championships last year, and it was always a question of when would she find that dip in form.
Confirmation of the results is Mereshko, who leads them into the final later on. Song Ling and Sophia Herzog of the USA, 2nd and 3rd. Nicole Turner picking up 4th. Bjornsdottir of Iceland disqualified after that one. No chance of her making the final. Second heat is upon us then, and a little bit of interest for our hosts. And there you see why. Maisie Summers-Newton, who 7 years ago watched the Paralympics on TV and wanted to be Ellie Simmons. Now she swims alongside her in the very same pool in a World Championships.
Take your marks.
There are so many amazing stories within paraswimming, but this one really is one of my personal favourites. The impact that Ellie Simmons has had on paraswimming in this country after that Paralympics in 2012. We are watching legacy in the pool right here. Never mind the crowds that are here. The actual sport itself progressed so much, and Ellie Simmons was a big part of that.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, she's such a recognisable figure. The fact that she always delivers good results is a bonus. And yet, not just in Great Britain, but around the world, Ellie Simmons really has helped raise the profile of Paralympic sport. We see here Liu Damin of China leading out on that butterfly leg, and we talk so much again about this individual medley, and the one thing that both of those British ladies in the middle do is they've got 4 good strokes. Both of them, their weakest stroke is probably the backstroke, but they've worked so hard with it that they minimise the difference that gets given away to them. And Ellie Simmonds, her strongest is the freestyle chase. Maisie Summers-Newton, the current world record holder in this event, hers is the breaststroke. So when we turn, watch her go, she's already clawed back and given herself that lead. Obviously, Du Long of China only losing her legs, so as we get further into the race, she'll get a lot of lactic acid and a burn in those quads, and that's when the great British athletes and Verena Schott will start to claw back and make a difference and benefit from their type of impairment, if that's even possible.
Well, Maisie Summers-Newton there, we saw from the underwater shot, she really went hard on that backstroke. A lot of leg kick, a lot of splash coming up from her. I just have a feeling Maisie Summers-Newton is really going hard at this one. She already knows how good she is in the breaststroke. She's got a lead going into it, and the current world record holder is looking to put out a message, I think, in this heat swim here. The youngster who swims out of Northampton Swimming Club in the UK.
She has youth on her side, Maisie Summers-Newton, and we've seen her early in the week. She's in personal best form in her other event, so she's feeling good. We know that, and she's looking really good here. We talk about legacy, and Maisie Summers-Newton, along with Alice Ty, were 2 athletes that were in the crowd in London 2012 as part of British Swimming's Inspire programme. We have the next generation of those athletes in the crowd this morning. They've been on a bit of a camp here in London, taking the opportunity to watch these athletes, and what better display than seeing Maisie Summers-Newton here dominate this heat.
Yeah, fantastic work from Maisie Summers-Newton. The Chinese athlete is not out of this. Liu Damin swimming really, really well. And she'll push Maisie Summers-Newton every step of the way here. Ellie Simmonds has been controlled and comfortable. I think Ellie's happy to let Maisie go in this one. Leave something in the tank for later on. Can't put a price on experience. And Maisie's gone really quickly out here. Good swim, 3:01.67. Fantastic swim from Maisie Summers-Newton. Will qualify her into lane 1 in tonight's final. It's lane 4, I should say, in first place for the quickest from this morning's heats. There we go, confirmation of the time and the winner. But one to watch for sure a little bit later on. Liu Damin of China looked really impressive there. 3:05.87 her time. Ellie Simmonds coming in 3rd place, controlled in 3:06. Won't get the best lane draw, but if anyone at this stage of their career knows their body and knows their swimming, it's Ellie Simmonds, and she's been feeling really good in the heats without necessarily pushing that time. She's just looking to get the best feeling going into the finals in the evening.
Yeah, that's where the medals are won. She missed the podium at European Championships last year. She'll be desperate to get on that podium this evening, and so she'll be swimming the heats in preparation for the final.
What a banner that is.
To be fair, Maisie should probably be in maths too.
Yeah. Yeah, don't disagree.
Where are you on the second week of college?
Here we go then, there's the results of Heat 2. Maisie Summers-Newton will qualify quickest through into tonight's final. Liu Damin swimming really, really well to take 2nd place there. Ellie Simmonds controlled in 3:06.05. Verena Schott of Germany, 3:13.49. And those are tonight's finalists. Nicole Turner of Ireland and Sophia Herzog squeaking in the outside lanes. It's a stacked field in the middle though. Looking forward to that race. So many heats setting up fantastic finals later on. Here comes our next event though, the men's 100 metres breaststroke SB14. Two heats of this one to come. It's Jake Michelle of Australia who heads them up in heat number 1. We've got Mark Avers for company. The great Dutchman. He goes in lane 5.
Well, Jake Michelle of Australia in lane 4. The Australians always been a dominant force in the S14 category, but a while since they've had a breaststroke specialist that can challenge on these podium at these major championships. So that's an exciting prospect. Mark Avers is ever present in this SB14 for the Netherlands. He is a recognisable figure around the world of paraswimming. It's youngster though, Vasyl Kranik of the Ukraine, who touches at the 50 metre with a slither of a lead, 0.37, separating the top 3 athletes. Kranik, the bronze medalist at the European Championships. He's been a bit of a find for the Ukrainian team. But here we see now he's still going well. Mark Avers with that shaved head, trying to come through, trying to get the touch for the heat. These S14 athletes enjoy being in the centre of the lanes to the finals. It's important to them.
Yeah, Mark Avers is the reigning Paralympic champion over 200 IM. He's got a fantastic range of strokes, and he goes quickly there as well. The Flying Dutchman takes 107.13 in the breaststroke heats. And plenty of noise being generated inside the aquatic centre at the moment as well. The familiar sight now of hundreds of school children who've been bussed in to wave some flags and make some noise. It's the best kind of rent-a-crowd almost, isn't it? But this is all part of the process here at these World Championships, to introduce youngsters to the mere concept of parasport, which they might not have been familiar with, but education and introduction so important at a young age, and they're watching some of the very best para-athletes around the world. Mark Avers certainly qualifies into that category, just touching out Vasyl Kranik and Jake Michelle, who both swam quickly and should make the final, pending the results of Heat 2. Here is the start list for Heat 2 then. 2 Japanese swimmers flank the quickest through into this event. Scott Quinn of Great Britain, Yasuhiro Tanaka and Naohide Yamaguchi will be looking to get themselves in front of the Great Britain. An enormously popular figure in the British team is Scott Quinn.
He's got his lucky underpants on. There they go. Off they come. I'm always glad he remembers to take them off.
Big event for the 2 Japanese swimmers here, Tanaka and Yamaguchi. Of course, less than 350 days away now from that Paralympic Games in Tokyo. Something special to swim in the home Paralympics.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott Quinn got that was the inspiration for him initially, and in Paralympic Games in Rio, Scott Quinn got touched out by his compatriot, by the finest of margins, to take that silver medal behind Aaron Moores to get the gold. But since then, he has gone from strength to strength and broke the world record most recently in April of this year in Glasgow, so at home in Scotland for him. He's an incredibly popular athlete, but he knows just how close this event is in the SB14 category, and he loves a challenge. He's a character. There's nobody in this pool that doesn't like Scott Quinn. Here we see he's really worked hard on developing the second half of his race, because he always used to get excited to go out quickly and then he'd get caught in those closing stages. But here, look at the way he ups that stroke rate. He looks so strong as he comes into the final 5 meters.
Yeah, but a terrific performance by Quinn as he changes his usual race strategy and he touches out Yamaguchi of Japan. That is a lightning fast heat, Liz. Goodness me. Yamaguchi pushing him all the way. He's only a 10th off his world record, Scott Quinn there. That was such a quick heat. 105.38 is a championship record, and by a mile as well, breaking Mark Avers from Montreal back in 2013. Well, Scott Quinn perfect race strategy. Patient in the first half, brought it back hard in the second. But, well, we're going to keep an eye on that battle later on. Now Hide Yamaguchi pushing him every single inch of the way.
Yeah, Scott Quinn, the breaststroke specialist, he really has come into his own, and he won't want to let that top spot go.
Oh, what a great race that was. Such a quick one for a heat. Scott Quinn then, championship record in the heat. He'll qualify through quickest into tonight's final. Now Hide Yamaguchi, though, has given him plenty to think about. Artem Pavlenko of Russia taking third in that one. And here are your finalists. Scott Quinn will have lane 4. Now Hide Yamaguchi and Mark Evers of the Netherlands will flank him. Vasil Kreinik and Jake Michel will look to make an impact from the lanes either side. I almost feel like we're guilty of repeating ourselves a bit too much here this morning, Liz, but this morning more than any other seems to have set up so many fantastic battles in the finals. We've not really seen a single athlete in a single event absolutely dominate it. They've all got competition.
Yeah, no, this has been probably the closest start. We keep talking about how exciting the finals have been in the first 2 nights, but it's almost as if the athletes don't want to be outdone, and then they rise to the challenge the following morning.
There we go, the loudest crowd in London at the moment. All enjoying themselves, all representing different nations. It's a geography lesson, isn't it? I wonder if she knows it's the Brazilian flag. I'm sure she knows. She'll be getting behind the Brazilian in this one. And the 50-metre end, Beatriz Carneiro of Brazil goes in 5. Debra Carneiro of Brazil goes in 3, flanking Michelle Alonso Morales of Spain in lane 4. The 100-metre breaststroke SB14 is upon us.
Well, it's the identical twins of Brazil that flank the Paralympic champion Michelle Alonso Morales of Spain. She is a breaststroke specialist, and we see that a lot in this category, especially the S14. We see different names and potentially different people on the podium. There we see in lane 6 Valerie Shabalina of Russia, already been on the podium twice in 2 nights. This is probably her least favourite event because she does come up against these breaststroke specialists, as I said, and Michelle Alonso Morales attacking down this first 50 metres. Often we see in the S14 category that the athletes struggle to pace the faster races, and they just go as fast as they can from the gun. They work really hard with their coaches to try and develop strategies where that doesn't happen, but Michelle Alonso Morales is an athlete that does always go hard at it from the start signal.
Yeah, she looks fantastic, doesn't she, Michelle Alonso Morales? This is one of the few S14 events where we won't see Bethany Firth or Jessica Jane Applegate of Great Britain. And the world record holder and the Paralympic champion, Michelle Alonso Morales, has gone out very quickly this morning. 1:15.15 is comfortable. Good 4 seconds in front of second place Valeria Shabalina, who finished strongly there. A good swim from Spain's Paralympic champion.
Yeah, this event means so much to her. You always see her slightly more fired up when she comes out for the breaststroke, because she knows it's that one opportunity that she has to get on that top of the podium and make her mark on this category, and she has done so for so long. She did get beaten at the European Championships by Great Britain's Louise Fides, who goes in the next heat, so it could be, again, another exciting final, providing everyone progresses. But Alonso Morales looked very strong there this morning.
Yeah, good swim from Michelle. Slight delay on the results. It is Deborah Carneiro who actually picked up second place in that one. A couple of gremlins in the system by the looks of things. Valeria Shabalina with third place, and the second Carneiro picking up fourth in front of Justine Morier of Canada. Here comes the second heat, and here comes the fastest in the world this year. In lane 4, Louise Fides of Great Britain got Mikika Serizawa of Japan and Elizaveta Barbatina of Russia for company either side of her.
Well, everything we said about Alonso Morales in the first heat, these breaststroke specialists, applies to Louise Fides of Great Britain. This is her opportunity to get on the top of the podium. She comes into this competition 2 seconds quicker than anybody else in the world this year. And we've always said Great Britain have such strength and depth in this S14 category. And with great role models like Bethany Firth and Jessica Jane Applegate. Bethany Firth, the silver medalist in the Rio Paralympic Games. They really spur Louise Fides on. Relatively local, of course, Hatfield-based swimmer, so not so far for her to come. And with a clear 2.7 seconds up on the rest of the field, she looked mightily strong this morning.
Yeah, she looks fantastic, Louise Fides. I was seeing her a few years ago before she'd sort of made that big jump up onto the national and international scene. Always a swimmer that was regarded as having huge potential. And to see her here living up to every bit of that in this famous pool, in this iconic venue, is fantastic to see. It's a very quick heat swim, 1:14.43. She'll have lane 4 for the final a little bit later on, a long way in front of Barbatina in second place. I think it was Serizawa of Japan in third. Again, timing system just a little bit slow here in the venue. Championship record for Louise Fides, breaking the one set by Michelle Alonso Morales in Mexico a couple of years ago, which was 1:15.05. You can see there Louise Fides, fast twitch off the block, got a fantastic start and set her up beautifully for the rest of her race.
Yeah, she's really developed on her strength over the last couple of years. She'll be disappointed to have missed the podium in the 200-metre freestyle earlier in the week, but this is her event and this is her best chance to date of getting on that World Championship podium.
And once again, it sets up a battle in the final. We've yet to have one swimmer really command a heat section, finish 5 seconds quicker than the rest of the field, and you think, oh, well, it's them versus the rest. It's another battle. It's Fides versus Alonso Morales later on. Championship record from Fides. Is she about to become a world champion for the first time? She's got the reigning world champion and Paralympic champion to get by first. There's the results from Heat 2. It was Serizawa who picked up third. And here is the final, set up beautifully. Fides versus Alonso Morales in the middle lanes. They'll have Deborah Carneiro, Elizaveta Barbatina and Valeria Shabalina to push them on. Plenty of quality in lanes 3 and 6 there as well. But can anyone get near those two headliners in the middle?
You think it's going to be difficult.
Oh, this crowd being revved up by the in-venue announcers who are having a lot of fun.
Well, we're just rearranging the pool because we're heading down to the other end for the next event. We have some 150-metre individual medleys coming up.
And this event, unique, It's not seen in the Olympic swimming program. Totally unique para-swimming event. 150 individual medley. And for those who've maybe not seen 150 medley before, Liz, what's the difference between that and a 200? What's the stroke they miss out?
Well, the stroke is butterfly. I often think they should give you the option, because I definitely would have missed out backstroke. But it's only available to those athletes in classes SM4 and below. And yes, so they just miss out that butterfly leg at the start, which sees them start at the opposite end of the pool, then just complete the backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle leg, and finish where everyone else finishes in all competitions. So similar to a 50, start down the other end.
And a really, really competitive field here. Only one heat, so almost a forerunner to tonight's final. 10 athletes in it, so we'll drop 2 from this heat. A new world record holder from last night, Roman Zhdanov. Didn't he look magnificent in the 100-meter freestyle? Keep an eye on him for the last leg. Efrem Morelli is something of a breaststroke specialist. Takayuki Suzuki saw his world record go to Roman Zhdanov last night. He'll be looking to get a bit of revenge today in the SM4 150 IM. Zhdanov does have the quickest time in the world this year, 2:30.22, which is incredibly quick. Good 8 seconds quicker than anyone else in this field. Bit of a delay on the start here.
The variety of techniques being used. A lot of athletes with limb deficiencies in their upper half of their body. So we can see some people using adapted bands to attach them to the block. Some people being held. So everything's just going to be checked to make sure that nobody's getting an advantage.
Always feel the one who feels the worst about a delayed start in that situation with the Ukrainian coach. I've just taken a look at her at the other end of the field. She's popped her hand on her chest. She was breathing really hard to hold that strain and to hold her athlete in place.
Yeah, Dmitry Vinogradets there of Ukraine being held by his hands. But now we see we're up and into the stroke, and it is Roman Zhdanov, who's in fine form at this competition. A great backstroke as he goes down. He's got a clear lead, but also going well up there in lane 7 is Andreas Ernova of Austria. Again, with the 200 medley that we saw earlier, the same can be said, that you're reliant on making a difference between using your best stroke and minimizing the damage of your worst stroke. This comes into play even more so in the lower class events, because obviously the time is extended and therefore there's more opportunity to make those gains. We expect the blue cap of Efrem Morelli, the SB3 breaststroker. Obviously everybody in this is an SM4, but he's an SB3 breaststroker, but he is a brilliant breaststroker. And we can see he swam in the 20-point medley relay last night, picking up a silver medal, and we can see him starting to claw back on the field. But really, Roman Zhdanov so far ahead of everybody else. Phenomenal backstroke leg to give him this advantage.
Yeah, it is a crazy pace being set here by Roman Zhdanov, who's come in and already broken a freestyle world record. The world record in this one is very, very quick. It's held by Cameron Leslie from back in Rio, 2:23. But Zhdanov here isn't going to be a million miles away from it. Really, really quick. And he set himself 2:30 this year to qualify into this event. Just wonder how quick he feels like going here. It's going to be very, very fast.
Yeah, we saw he's got a good freestyle, broke the 100 freestyle world record last night. And he just looks so comfortable. He's got such a beautiful stroke, high elbow, long stretch.
Well, this is some swim, this in Roman Zhdanov. He's not going to be far outside world record pace. That's ticked over just now, and look how close he is to it. In a heat, keep an eye on that time in the final, I would suggest. Roman Zhdanov with a European record, 2:28.11. Fantastic swim from the Russian. Second place will go to Dadwan of Israel in lane number 6. Just on that far side, Takayuki Suzuki with a strong freestyle, but the gap between Zhdanov and the rest there, absolutely ginormous. Fantastic swim from the young Russian, who is threatening to have a real breakout week here at this World Championships. Led the way from the front and never ever looked back. 2:28.11, a brand new European record. He'll be having one eye, no doubt, on those times from Cameron Leslie, which occupy the championship and the world record.
Yeah, and I'm sure Cameron Leslie will have one eye on this final tonight. He's been helping New Zealand All Blacks qualify a spot for the wheelchair rugby at Tokyo 2020. This year that was his priority, but I wouldn't rule out seeing him back in the pool either next summer.
Might have some stiff competition by the time he arrives. Wonderful swim from Roman Zhdanov of Russia. Official results are in. In just a moment. Just hearing that we're waiting for confirmation from the officials team down on the pool sides. And here we go. Roman Zhdanov, confirmation, a European record for the Russian. Ami Omer Dadwan of Israel, 2:38.27 will pick up second place. Takayuki Suzuki picks up third. Tomi Brasha of Croatia and Manuel Martinez of Spain are the two to drop from tonight's final. The top 8 all heading through for tonight's big race.
Well, now it's the women's opportunity to follow suit in this 150-metre medley for the SM4 category. There are 2 heats. Heat 1 sees Leanne Smith, who's an SM3, in the centre lane.
Take your marks.
Amazing to see that from the Spaniard in lane 7, Inés Rodriguez, the London 2012 tattoo on her shoulder. That's what it meant to her as they kick off the 150 individual medley for the SM4s. There are a few SM3s in this category. We've got Leanne Smith leading the way in lane 4. Ellie Chalice, also the young Great Britain, in lane 6 on international debut. She's used to swimming out on her own in races at Parison meets in the UK. A great chance for her to test herself against some of the world's best here.
Absolutely, that opportunity doesn't come along that often for the lower category athletes. And also in Great Britain, we don't have that many lower category athletes, so it's great to see Ellie Chalice here. She's being cheered on by the rest of her Inspire programme, who are in the stands, and she was supposed to be up there, but she qualified for this team. But again, is Leanne Smith leading the way at the moment as we go into the turn and the breaststroke. Again, we see so often in this Paralympic programme, a lot of athletes reappear in different categories because they have degenerative conditions, and that can be said for Susana Ribeiro, the Brazilian, in lane 5. She was in London 2012 as an SM8 swimmer, but unfortunately she's got a neurological condition that means that over the last few years she's just deteriorated quite rapidly. Before she entered parasport, she was an Iron Woman, and she used to do, she was a huge, she loves a marathon challenge. So we just see that sometimes explains why we see athletes appear in different categories at the parasport program.
Well, I remember reading about Anthony Ponce-Bertrand, who's spoken about his deterioration down the classes over the years, and he was told by one of his doctors that swimming actually accelerated that process, but he didn't want to give up the idea of competing and being an athlete. He loved it so much, and it gave him what he felt was the freedom and the passion of sport, even though it technically deteriorated his condition putting his body through that sort of ringer. He felt it actually benefited him, and it is lovely to hear so many different stories. What we see in parachuting, every athlete has an incredible story to make their way into the pool.
Absolutely, and a lot of these swimmers, it is the freedom that they get from the water, because a lot of them will rely on wheelchairs or canes or wobble boards or skateboards or orthotics to be worn outside of the pool and feel limited, whereas in the water it's the one place you can't use a prosthetic. Even if you do on land, you are completely free to move with what you have available to you. And there we see Leanne Smith doing exactly that. She's opened up an incredible lead. Susana Ribeiro of Brazil in second, and Gina Butcher of Germany and Ellie Chalice of Great Britain battling it out to get that third position in this heat.
A lovely swim this from Leanne Smith of the USA. Touches in 3:05.07 to take the win in the first heat. And it's the Brazilian Ribeiro who picks up second place, and Gina Butcher of Germany. Just had too much for Ellie Chalice down the straight, but the young Briton being cheered on home by a very partisan crowd here to touch in fourth place. Championship record for the SM3s for Leanne Smith there. Once again, she will have to finish first if she wants the gold medal in this race, but she can break and set championship and world records in the SM3 class. To get gold, though, she must win the race.
There we see that range of techniques and range of impairments that makes these races in the lower categories even more exciting, especially medley. See Ellie Chalice there using every ounce that she has available to her, her stump legs kicking, because you really want to maximise your impairment in the water to give you the best advantage.
And what an experience this is for Ellie Chalice. You mentioned it's her international debut. What a place to do it at her young age, to do a home world championships. It's the dream, isn't it, to be able to set yourself up for the Paralympics potentially next year. This could only benefit her.
Absolutely.
Official results are in. Championship record in the SM3s for Leanne Smith. Disqualification for Susana Ribeiro of Brazil. Gina Butcher of Germany in second place. Ellie Chalice then bumped up to third. Penki Ping of China in fourth. And Rodriguez of Spain in fifth. Here's the start list for the second heat. Arjola Trimi, fresh off a wonderful night last night, where she won a gold in the individual and a silver in the relay. She goes in lane 4. Olga Swiderska and Rachel Watson enjoyed excellent nights last night as well. They'll go away to her right-hand side.
Olga Swiderska there of Ukraine, multi-medalist, European silver last time out in Dublin. Shall see what's gone in the first heat.
Rachel Watson getting herself into position. She'll be looking to avoid the drama that she had to go through yesterday. She was disqualified in the heats, reinstated upon appeal, and got herself onto the podium.
Take your marks.
There again, we see the variety of the start. Rachel Watson actually pushing off the wall with her hands and then getting up into that double arm backstroke. Often these athletes with lower leg impairments and severe spinal injuries find that the double arm stroke generates more power to enable them to offset the drag that their body is causing them when they're swimming backstroke. But there we see that nice flat stroke. Marina Verbova of Ukraine, she is the European champion. She's making the most of this backstroke. Ariola Trimi, of course, of Italy, an amazingly powerful and beautiful freestyler to watch. So she'll be looking to come back on that final leg if Verbova still has this lead.
Yeah, Trimi is one of the most aesthetically pleasing freestyles you'll see anywhere. And she knows she's got that in the bank for the final leg. Might have to call upon it at this rate. Because leading the way out is Marina Verbova of Ukraine.
We talk so often about these athletes having to work around their limitations, and again, that's what makes Paralympic sport such a good legacy. It's not just every person with a disability wants to be an athlete, but it just shows how you can adapt the world of sport to maximise your potential. And you can transfer that into any aspect of life and do the same. And here we see Ariola Trimi doing exactly that. You would never see a breaststroker who's got full use of both arms and both legs breathing to the side as she does. But it keeps her as flat as possible, minimises the resistance that her body's causing, and allows her to move forward through the water most efficiently and effectively. In contrast to Verbova's stroke, who takes that conventional breathing pattern because she has a higher stroke rate, so there's no time to turn to the side and breathe.
Yeah, there you see the underwater of Verbova's turn. Gets a little push off from the legs as she makes her way back home, and then we'll see the graceful elegance of Ariola Trimi on the freestyle. Can she catch Marina Verbova? Just about got enough room and time to do it here. Trimi's up into her stroke, and she's so smooth and powerful with it. Do not discount the lead changing. Look how much ground she's made up already.
Yeah, she has a considerable stroke length. It's just, that's what's making the difference as we come here. So every time she puts her arm in the water, she's getting hold of more water. So with every arm pull, she's then propelling herself that much further forward. You see Verbova, in contrast, has a higher stroke rate, but she's not able to get hold of as much water.
That's a fantastic freestyle leg from Trimi. 2:59.05 for the Italian. Gloriously done. And Verbova, it must be frustrating, having swum so well in the first three legs, to then get reined in like that on the freestyle. But she'd have been expecting that from Trimi. She knew that was the threat. And Ariola here is having a wonderful championships. 2 medals yesterday, as I mentioned. She's targeting another one tonight.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. It's not a case of Verbova losing any momentum or not being fit enough to do the race. It's just that Trimi is a freestyle specialist, and Verbova played to her advantages early on to build up that advantage. And then you've just got to put your head down, swim for dear life, and hope that you've done enough not to get caught. The final swimmer now coming in. Final 2 swimmers. Gabardina of Kazakhstan, Zulitha, always another one who's always smiling, and our only SM3 athlete in this heat, Canadian Nikita Enns, is now down in lane 1. She's got about 15 meters to go. The crowds are cheering, they're waving their flags, making as much noise for her to bring her home to the wall.
Yeah, here comes Nikita Enns. Finish her individual race. Lovely to see actually Rachel Watson in lane 2 joining the applause to help bring her home. And a big smile on Watson's face as well. Just gives her a couple of words. Just seems like someone, Rachel Watson, who just enjoys being here. and wants to make everyone else enjoy it as much as she enjoys it.
Well, I saw her in the lift last night. After that relay swim that was already quite late, she got called into doping control. So she was sat there a while. So it was a late finish for her last night, Rachel Watson. So she'll be pleased with that this morning.
Those are the results then from Heat 2. Ayala Trimi wins it just in front of Marina Verbova. But the pair of them going slightly quicker than Leanne Smith in Heat number 1. These are your finalists then. Ellie Chalice on debut will have a lane and therefore will have a chance later on. Sorry to steal your phrase there.
You learn well, Steve. You learn well. Take it.
Trimi quickest through. Verbova and Smith will be either side of her. We move on from the 150s to the 50s, and the pace will dramatically pick up here as the S12s enter the fray. Here's the start list for Heat number 1. Maxim Varaksha of Ukraine is the quickest into this one. Raman Salai and Braden Jason. Franco Schmidt as well is very quick over 50. Should be a good race, this one. As we see so often with the 50 freestyle. Blanket finish, it just can quite often all come down to the touch. Who can time it the best? I saw in the S12 event yesterday, couldn't have been closer.
Well, lane 4, Ukraine, Maxim Varaksha, the fastest man ever in para swimming. He got left on the block there, he always does, but he has such a powerful explosion. Here he comes, he leads the way, but he's being challenged by Raman Salai in lane 5.
Into the wall they come then, and it looks like it will be Varaksha who gets there. He does indeed, 24.09, 4/10 up on Raman Salai, and further on Braden Jason in second and third. And Maxim Varaksha, who had that swim in 2009, 22.99 on the 53 back in Reykjavik in 2009, a long time ago now, all 10 years ago. He's still at the top of his game though, 24.09, the win in the heats.
He's an incredible athlete, he's a very unique swimmer. Like we watch here, he waits on the block, he goes, but then it was almost like Salai had almost caught him up, and then he just found another gear to accelerate away into those final stages.
Well, it wasn't the smoothest start by any stretch of the imagination, was it, for Varaksha?
We'll have to wait for the official results from that one.
And yeah, there we see it. Well, we know why. We saw it in slow motion. Maxim Varaksha disqualified on the start. It'll be Raman Salai bumped into first place. A couple of fantastic swims there. Braden Jason and Franco Schmidt in particular, both swimming continental records for Oceania and Africa respectively. But that's such a shame for Varaksha. Here comes Heat 2. Ilya Yaremenko the quickest into this one. Dmitry Salai, fresh off his gold medal yesterday. Yaroslav Denisenko exceptionally quick over 50 metres as well. Crowd's just producing a little bit too much noise on the start.
Take your mark.
Well, it was Ilya Yaremenko of the Ukraine in lane 4 that he beat Fradeska last time out at the European Championship, so he is the man in form. He's second on the world rankings this year, but in this race he is storming ahead to take this victory in Heat 1.
Wow, some performance that, 23.92 from Yaremenko. Fantastic swim from the Ukrainian. Capless in his swim, it doesn't slow him down at all. 23.92, dips under the 24-second mark in the heats. Dimitri Salai, fresh off winning the 100 fly last night, picks up second place. Stephen Clegg in third, who was pipped by Salai by the barest of margins last night. He'll get a good lane in the final.
Stephen Clegg finished very well there. He was down and out, and then he just came back in those last couple of minutes to get that very important third place touch.
The time's been slightly rejigged here, just as we watch the athletes depart. Stephen Clegg touched out by Yaroslav Denisenko's time's been revised. Absolutely impossible as a blanket finish for us to spot who finishes in first. We are at the mercy of the timing system. Official results will be with us very shortly. And it's Yaremenko who is confirmed as the winner of heat number 2. Dimitri Salai, Yaroslav Denisenko and Stephen Clegg, the familiar S12 swimmers who have already seen this week. They'll get themselves through into tonight's final. But it's a quick race, this one. Really good final lined up. Yaremenko is the leading light in lane 4. The two Salai brothers will flank him either side. Denisenko, Jason, Clegg, Isertal and Schmidt make up the remaining lanes. On to the women's 53 S12 we go. And the first glimpse this week of Elena Kravtsov of Germany. Fantastic swimmer. Looking forward to watching her go. She goes in lane 4 in this one. There she is. Her friend over in lane 2 as well. Mile Labuda, also of Germany. It's Alessia Berra of Italy.
Well, the best reaction time there coming from Elena Kravtsov of Germany in that centre lane. She comes into this championships with the second fastest time this year. She'll be looking to build on that, but it's tight behind her. The name from Maria Delgado Nadal going well, and Lucienne da Silva Souza of Brazil and Alessia Berra of Italy, all pretty tightly, but the win for this is going to go to Elena Kravtsov. She gets the touch in a 28.47.
Yeah, strong swim from Kravtsov. She can go quicker, she knows she can go quicker. But a decent morning workout. Her first race of the championships. That will blow out some of the cobwebs. She got a fantastic start.
She did. Her reaction time considerably better than everyone else. She shared gold with Great Britain's Hannah Russell, who's not at these championships but back in the Europeans last year, so she had good form then. She looks like she's got good form now, but she's going to have challenges from those athletes coming in the second heat.
There are the results. Elena Kravtsov wins it 28.47. 4/10 in front of Maria Delgado of Spain. Alessia Berra picks up third. And here's the start list in Heat 2. Maria Gomez of Brazil goes in lane 4. Anna Krivshina and Rebecca Myers in 5 and 6 are two to watch in particular. Melia Latritskaya of Russia. She's a very quick swimmer. She goes in lane 3. .27 dead for Maria Gomez of Brazil earlier on this year. qualified quickest into this championships. There she is. It's a stacked heat, this.
Take your marks.
All those athletes getting away fairly evenly. The best underwater was from Anna Kravchina of Russia, but Maria Carolina Gomez will be looking to cement her start in this World Championships for Brazil. She's been a bit of a find for the Brazilians this year. New onto the international stage, going strongly there, that yellow cap for Brazil.
That's a fantastic swim, 27.22, utilising the help of the tapper. Job done, and a dazzling smile from Maria Carolina Gomez, who is loving her time here in London. Very good swim, that 27.22. Anna Kravchina is going to be a real threat on the touch. She's so long and has that brilliant stroke length.
Well, it was Kravchina that got the best reaction off the lot, used her underwater well, but Maria Carolina Gomez, she set the world leading time 27 flat this year off the back of a 100 breaststroke world record. So it suggests that she may have more in the tank when she's only got one event in a program in a day.
Yeah, and it's close to the world record actually that time. Oksana Savchenko holds it from back in London, 26.9. If Gomez can go inside her personal best, she's going to go close to that world record. She qualifies through to tonight's final then, alongside Anna Kravchina and Latritskaya. And plenty of others in that race as well. There is your final list, and that is a bit of a who's who of VI female swimmers, isn't it? Maria Carolina Gomez then will have lane 4, flanked by the two Russians, Elena Kravtsov and Rebecca Myers, who offer plenty of ammunition and threat from outside. Absolutely,
there's going to be a changing of the guard because European champion Hannah Russell not here, Paralympic champion also, but also world champion Naomi Mecker-Schnittger of Germany also absent following injury, so opportunity there for a new name to top the podium this evening.
Well, here we go with the men's 100-metre fly S9. Simone Barlam in lane 4. 2 races, freestyle and backstroke. 2 gold medals, 2 world records. Can anyone stop the Italian? Might be his Italian teammate, Simone Ciulli, who knows? Looking forward to this one. He's been the star of these championships so far. Simone Barlam. Everything he touches at the moment turns to gold.
Simone Barlam in lane 4. He is the European silver medalist. His compatriot, not Simone Ciulli, he's new, but Federico Moklaki, who goes in the mix, he is the world record holder. He was the European champion. He'll be looking to challenge Barlam's form this competition. But here we see again that long range of Simone Barlam going very well. Also going well down in lane 3 is Alexander Skaluch of Russia. And it is the 2 Italians that turn first and second, but only 0.27 separates the top 3 athletes. As we turn, we're heading for home. Tim Hodge of Australia, off the back of a medal-winning performance in the backstroke last night. He's returned to the pool. He finished strongly last night, but now we see it is Simone Barlam who's starting to pull away and put a bit of space between him and the chasing pack.
Well, there's something about this, Paul, that's bringing out the very best in Simone Barlam. Another win, 61.44 for the Italian. You can go a little bit quicker than that. We'll have to find out how happy he is with the time. Still just 19 years of age. He cites one of his heroes, interestingly, as being Federico Moklaki.
Well, Malaki did really. He was one of those athletes. The Italians had a very small team, and he would really ignite this resurgence for the Italian teams. Now they're such a dominant force. Federico Malaki was one of those that led that charge back to their. I guess they have been dominant. They are fighting for that top spot on the medals table, and it's great to see. And again, we talk about legacy in so many forms. It doesn't just come from hosting a Paralympic Games. We talk about role models and how important they are.
Simone Barlam, can he make it a golden hat-trick later on? He will be in tonight's final. 61.44 the winning time. Alexander Scalio and Tim Hodge going well in second and third. Simone Ciulli will be hoping his time of 62.35 is enough to make it. Here's heat 2. Federico Morlacchi then in lane 4. Jose Antonio Maria Alcaraz, very quick. He goes in lane 5.
Well, this is the first time we see Andrei Kalina of Russia this championships. He'll be using this as a warm-up for the breaststroke. As ever, a superb start from the Russian in that white cap in lane 3. But the strength of Federico Malaki and Jose Antonio Maria Alcaraz, they're the top 2 fastest swimmers on the world rankings this year. And there we can see they've caught up that deficit that they experienced off of the block. And they turn with company separated by Christian Vinic of Croatia.
Yeah, Vincetic going on really well here from lane number 6. Very powerful in his stroke. And just about, for my money, ahead of the rest of the field here. Might be down on the touch this, between Morlacchi and Vincetic. In they come then to the wall. It will be Morlacchi who touches them out. 0.14 the difference. Just came down to timing really at the end of that race. Federico Morlacchi getting the better of the Croatian. 61.36 from the great man. Current world record holder from back in 2015.
Yeah, we talk about those tight finishes, spotting the wall, getting those touches perfectly at the turn and the finish, and they can be so vitally important, especially in a race like this where there's so little separating the athletes. It's possible that just by missing the finish, you could rule yourself out of a final spot.
Well, we've had quite a few heats set us up for exciting finals. Take a look at this one in a minute. Federico Morlacchi wins heat number 2. Christian Vincetic, an excellent time, 61.5, will qualify him for a very good lane. Jose Antonio Maria Alcaraz will always be a threat, no matter what lane he's in. He's got a decent draw for the final in a moment. Here is the final then. Morlacchi versus Barlam. 800ths of a second in it in the heats. Barlam is on the hottest of hot streaks. And in the way of his hat-trick stands one of his idols, Federico Morlacchi. Christian Vincetic and Jose Antonio Maria Alcaraz either side of them. That final is loaded.
Absolutely, there's more in the tank from a lot of those, but less than a second separating the entire field. We are in for a treat.
Said that a few times this morning. I'm already excited for it. Can we have it already?
No, I need some lunch.
We move on to the women's 100 fly S9. Tony Shaw, fresh off her first ever international medal on the opening night, leads the way in lane 4 for this one.
Well, Tony Shaw of Great Britain in that centre lane 4. She's in brilliant form here. She broke the British record to get herself on the podium for the first time at a World Championships earlier in this week. And here we see it is Elizabeth Smith, the American fresh off victory at the Pan American Games in Lima, the only American athlete to travel to Lima and then come to these World Championships, leading Tony Shaw down at this first 50 metres. But Shaw, a brilliant 400-metre freestyler, she's got great endurance, she'll be happy to be 0.14 back. She knows that she's strong down this second 50 metres. Naraya Marcus Soto, disappointed to be disqualified in the backstroke event last night. She's also keeping these girls company. But Tony Shaw now she's making a move. Now she's starting to come up on the shoulder of Lizzie Smith. She's trying to get ahead. She broke the European record, the British record in Scottish Open just in June. So we know she's in incredible form this year. She gets that finish, just a 10th off of her own British record.
Fantastic swim from Tony Shaw. Lizzie Smith eyeing her up the entire way down, breathing to her left. She knew exactly where she was. And there's some of the Inspiration Programme athletes up in the crowd there. Tony Shaw, young enough easily to be a part of that, but already taken that step up onto the international stage. A great swim from her. She wins the first heat in front of Lizzie Smith, who's gone and swam an America's record in 68.3. Really is wonderful to see the youngsters coming through on a home championship. Something quite special about it. There's the results then. Tony Shaw wins heat number 1. Lizzie Smith with an America's record in second. Maria Marquez Soto takes third. Sophia Konkoly and Jessica Markkanen back in fourth and fifth. Here comes heat number 2 then. The great Sophie Pascoe goes in lane 4. Sarai Gascon of Spain, a fantastic sprinter and will give her a real go. Daniela Jimenez in lane 6 and Xu Jialing of China on the outside, with Yulia Gordichuk of Israel completing the field.
Well, the best start there from lane 5. Sarai Gascon maximising that advantage she gets over Sophie Pascoe, because Sophie Pascoe really is the class of the field in this S9 category. She comes into this event 6 seconds quicker than anybody else. European champion Sarai Gascon is currently the best of the rest, but Tony Shaw of Great Britain put down a storming timing that first heat. So she knows that she'll be challenging for the medals this evening. Gascon, another athlete who survived challenges from a lot of young pretenders that have come in and left. She's staying there a long time. But Sophie Pascoe is an incredible athlete. She's doing a shorter program here, but it's just so happened that 3 of her best events have come in the first 3 days of this championships.
Yeah, already 2 gold medals to her name for Sophie Pascoe. She hasn't quite swum at her very, very best. No world records just yet for the Kiwi, but she'll maybe want to put that right in the flight. Here's Sophie Pascoe, who doesn't on the system just yet.
Are confirmed.
Yeah, 105.68 for Sophie Pascoe. Here's a championship record for the S9s. And don't be surprised to see that improved a little bit later on. New Zealand's greatest ever Paralympian, but she's nowhere near done yet. Here's the results then of Heat 2. Sophie Pascoe does indeed win it. A brand new championship record time. Xu Jialing with a really good swim to take second place, touching out Sarai Gascon of Spain. Here's the lineup for the final. Tony Shaw, quickest through, best of the rest. Lizzie Smith was in the mix as well. Sarai Gascon will have to do it from the outside, the European champion, alongside Maria Marquez Soto, her compatriot. Next event is the men's 100-metre breaststroke SB11, the first race of the morning for our S11 swimmers. reminder, these swimmers all completely blind, some with blacked out goggles to ensure fair competition. They will utilise tappers at either end of the pool for turns and finishes. Roger Dorsman of the Netherlands is the quickest into this race.
Very sure there, but just one of the challenges that the S11 swimmers have, they can't see anything, so they rely completely on the silence of the venue and the instruction of their assistants. A great start from Roger Dorsman of Netherlands in lane 4. Him and Victor Smirnov went head-to-head last night in the backstroke. Dorsman had the better turn, but then got tangled on the lane rope, and Smirnov came through to take the victory. So once again, Roger Dorsman having a brilliant first 50 metres. Breaststroke's difficult for these S11 swimmers because they need normally to brush up against the lane rope for a sense of direction. You can't do that on breaststroke because you just get tangled, and it is the most painful thing ever. But Roger Dorsman here flying away from the rest of the field. Obviously none of the other athletes have any idea where their competitors are, so it's always a time trial for these athletes in this category.
Yeah, Dorsman here absolutely flying in. Not far off world record pace. 1:12.69 for the Dutchman. Plenty of Dutch orange represented in the crowd in the stands here. He's even got his own banner up in the gallery as well. For himself on the podium, he swam a championship record. What a time. 1:12.69. That World Championship record has stood since Glasgow and Keiichi Kaimura. 1:14 was the old one, 1:12 is the new one. That's how good a time that is from Roger Dorsman.
Yeah, and that's an example of what this young man is capable of when the race plan goes correctly and he manages to keep direction. That's the fastest time that he's been this year. So perfect heat swim for him.
So a reminder, they will have a goggle check at the end of the race until the results are made official. Each athlete's goggles will be checked by an official to ensure they are totally blacked out, and that ensures the fair competition for these S11 athletes. And those results are just about to be made official. There they are. Roger Dorsman, championship record, 1:12.69 for the Flying Dutchman. Victor Smirnov and Johannes Feinberg, second and third. Athletes are on the way out for heat number 2. We mentioned that championship record. It's held by, well, it was held by Keiichi Kaimura of Japan. He goes in this heat in lane number 4. There he is. And the world record holder is alongside him. Yang Bo-jun set that in Rio in 2016. Paralympic champion. Truly global feel in this heat. The athletes represented in just about every continent.
There is Paralympic champion and world recorder Yang Bo-jun for China. Well, the fastest man in the world this year is the athlete in lane 4, Keiichi Kaimura of Japan, warming up nicely for a home Paralympic Games. next summer. But he's got company, sorry Steve, he's got company from the world record holder, from the Paralympic champion is Yang Bozen. Quite often the Chinese, after the Paralympic Games, they go away from international competition and then they build through the cycle, and we see them reappear at the World Championships that precedes the Paralympic year. Again, this is an opportunity to qualify slots for a team for the Paralympic, but also some countries use it as an opportunity to qualify specific places onto those Paralympic squads.
Yeah, Yang Bozen of China going along really, really well here. Keiichi Kaimura trying to go with him. And finishing really strongly, really upping the stroke rate. In lane number 3 is the Colombian Laida Albero Lemus. And he's going to be in third, but first will be Bozen. 1:13.58. Very nicely done. Not quite quicker than Roger Dorsman in the previous heat. It's inside the old championship record set by Keiichi Kaimura 4 years ago, and not inside the new one set by Roger Dorsman. But that's a good swim from Yang Bozen, Paralympic champion.
Great reactions there coming from the athlete next to him, Zhang Boan. Really good start. The athletes never really look back. The Japanese athlete will be looking to go quicker this evening. We say in the S11 category you don't always get the benefit of knowing what time the first heat went, but the in-venue announcers here are very loud, they're very clear, and they do try to help the athletes out. And it did look like these two athletes took it slightly easier than they are capable of going.
Yeah, which is a risky strategy in the S11, as we know. But those two so experienced and so quick and talented, they have the best chance of anyone of being able to do that. And athletes go through the goggle check from our officials.
So much trust required by these S11 athletes to their assistants, because they can get disqualified if those blacked out goggles aren't completely blacked out. So if there's a scratch on them, or if the labels come up, anything like that.
Our athletes have made it through the heat. Then Yang Bozen of China, the quickest through from heat 2. He'll take up lane 5 in tonight's final. Keiichi Kaimura, second through for Japan. A good swim from Laida Albero Lemus as well of Colombia in third. Here is the final then. Roger Dorsman in a championship record time will occupy lane 4. He'll have Yang Bozen and Keiichi Kaimura either side of him. Plenty of chances to win a medal all across the lanes there. Now it's the turn of the women as they take on the 100-metre breaststroke SB11. A big Chinese presence in this event as well. Ma Jie occupies lane 4 alongside teammate Han Xiaobao. Yana Berezhna of Ukraine is the other side in lane 5.
Well, these athletes will be looking to put in a strong performance, because the second heat is loaded. Lane number 4 there, Ma Jie of China getting a great start. She's forging ahead at the moment. There's still a long way to go. One lane up for her. From her, it's silver medalist from the Europeans in Dublin last year, and silver medalist from back in Glasgow at those World Championships, Yana Berezhna of the Ukraine. And we can see she's hugging that lane rope to try and stick in a straight line.
They approach the turn, and it is Ma who leads the way from her teammate Han. In third place. As Liz rightly mentioned, some really quick swimmers in heat number 2. No guarantees offered to any of the swimmers in heat 1 here. The record holder goes in the next one. Sessa Brunsma as well of the Netherlands. Capable of winning anything in the S11 class. As they come towards home, it is Ma Xia of China in lane 4 who is going to take this one pretty comfortably as well. It's a quick time. Really nicely done that for the heat. 1:25.68. Only marginally outside her quickest time this year by about a tenth of a second. Han in second place. Berezhna picks up third. That should be enough to get them through to tonight's final. Ma Xia, though, championship records with 1:25.68.
Well, they have been dropping this morning.
Yeah, they really have. Previous one was held by Zhang Xiaotong. Current world record holder swam 1:26 in Mexico. 1:25 is the new standard for Ma Xia.
There, that front-on shot gives a great view of how Yana Berezhna of the Ukraine swimming towards that lane rope to find her directional point as she then ploughed through the remainder of the race.
Yeah, impressive swim. Really smooth, wasn't it? Chinese do produce some fantastically coached S11 athletes. And they've got another one coming up in the next race after the goggle check is complete. Zhang Xiaotong, the reigning Paralympic champion and the current world record holder, is coming up in lane 4. Those results are now confirmed, though, after the goggle check. Ma Xia, championship record, 1:25.68. Han Xiaobao in second, and Yana Berezhna of Ukraine in third. Good time as well from the Mexican Matilda Alcazar. She'll be hoping that is good enough to go through to tonight's big race. Here comes heat 2 then. Paralympic champion goes in lane 4. Zhang Xiaotong, the Setta Brunsma, a perennial contender in this class. Not her strongest stroke, but one she still offers a significant threat in. She goes in lane number 5. Nadia Baez of Argentina in 3. Sofia Polikarpova of Russia goes in 4. Or 6, I should say. Call for quiet has been made inside the venue. Absolutely essential for our S11 swimmers. We've been told to relax. Little bit too much noise inside the venue. And all you have is your ears to decide when to start. Silence imperative. Take 2.
Getting away well, there it was. Lisette Brunsma of the Netherlands in lane 5, just one lane up from that Paralympic champion, Zhang Xiaotong of China. Brunsma currently reaping the rewards of that fast reaction time, as she's about half a body length up from the rest of the field.
Oh, flying start from Brunsma, got away so well, and it wasn't the greatest start from Zhang. She's now got her work cut out here to get herself back into contention at the head of this race. Going on nicely on her right shoulder is Nadia Baez of Argentina. You can see there the tapper just working with Nadia Baez there, maybe to get her back on track towards the centre of the timing pads. But Brunsma here, absolutely flying for the Netherlands. 40.17 was her split at the halfway mark, and she is well in front as they come for home.
Well, as we saw from her compatriot Roger Broadsman in the men's equivalent of this, he opened up an incredibly comfortable lead, and Brunsma doing exactly the same here. Obviously, she'll have no idea about that. She can't see her competitors. We keep reinforcing that fact. But she's going incredibly well here as she comes into the final meters of the race.
Yeah, not too far off world record sort of pace that from Lisetta Brunsma. 125.8 is incredibly quick. It would have been inside the old championship record. It's not quite inside the new one, but Lisetta Brunsma has been told she's won the race. And that famous beaming smile of Lisetta Brunsma lights up the aquatic centre. It's so familiar to anyone who's followed Paris swimming over the last few years. But it was all about the start for Brunsma there, wasn't it? She got away so well.
Yeah, her reaction time was incredible, and in recent times she's struggled often with direction, or she's got caught up on a lane rope, bounced off to the other side. But that race for her was executed perfectly, and she stayed on course. She had a good start, a good turn, and really it didn't look like anyone else was going to challenge her this morning.
Yeah, not the greatest of races from the Paralympic champion Zhang Xiaotong, and that can happen in the S11 category probably more than any other. So many different variables.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to throw you completely off course.
Team Netherlands enjoying their time here in London. Lisetta Brunsma has had the goggle check, and those results are confirmed as she makes her way back into the back. Great race from Brunsma there. Results are almost with us. Here they come. This is Brunsma, 125.8. 125.8. A very good time. Would have been a championship record, bar what happened in the first heat. Zhang Xiaotong, the world record holder, 130.5. She is capable of so much quicker. We've seen that before at the Paralympics in Rio. Could be a bit of a sleeper heading into tonight's final. It's a loaded final then. Magia leads the way. Lisetta Brunsma will be in lane 5. Zhang Xiaotong will have a bit of an outside lane. What can she produce from there? Stacked final to come then in the SB11 class.
Next up, it will be the men's 400-metre freestyle S10s. Only one heat.
Yeah, no lane 3 in this one. Stefano Raimondi of Italy was due to take up that spot, but he's pulled out, which means only one to drop from this heat. Might just play in the mind of a couple of the swimmers. Doesn't really change much from the mentality that they would have had anyway. And there is only the one heat, especially when it's a 400. The top swimmers will know they don't need to blast this in the opening stages. We'll try and save something in the tank for later on. Maxim Krypak is the man in lane 4, fresh off the gold medal yesterday in the 200 IM. Basthaken of the Netherlands was on the podium in bronze for that one. Ryan Crothers is quite often there or thereabouts in the F10 class. He goes in lane number 2.
Yeah, Maxim Krypak not got a time on the world rankings this year. So he'll be a bit of an unknown for his competitors in terms of his form right now in this event. But obviously, as a Paralympic champion, as a world record holder, they all know the danger that he poses in lane 4. With that withdrawal from Stefano Raimondi, the Italian, that was due to swim in lane 3, it really does change up the race now. Only one athlete is required to be dropped. So those athletes in those centre lanes do have that comfort of knowing that they should progress barring any disqualifications or mishaps. And sometimes that will mean that they will completely change the race and they'll just plod through this morning, freshen themselves up, especially those athletes that swam in that 200-metre individual medley last night. It's an opportunity to flush out the system, get the muscles feeling fresh, recharge the batteries, loosen up and prepare for what I'm sure will be an exciting race this evening.
Yeah, it's always an interesting dynamic in a 400, isn't it? It's the furthest distance for most of our classes, and when you have got that in the back of your minds, it is important to manage the heats. Maxim Krypak is the world record holder and the Paralympic champion. He knows what's required. As you can see, they're a quad length down on the leader at the moment, who's Bas Tucken of the Netherlands. He won't be too concerned about that at all at the halfway stage. Long, long way to go. And Maxim Krypak, such a competitor, it's difficult to imagine that he'll be happy finishing anything other than first in a race, but won't be too fussed if he finishes in second here.
No, and sometimes when you've got a busy program, when someone as talented as Maxim Krypak has, then it's all about managing your energy levels throughout the course of the week. And so when you do get this opportunity to maybe step it down a gear, there's a very fine balance from going easily enough that you've optimized your energy output, but not going so easy that you get out of the race feeling terrible.
Yeah, and for those who haven't been an athlete, that's quite a difficult sensation to imagine. You have to give something to get your body actually feeling good. It's actually no use at all cruising through a heat.
No, there's definitely that middle ground area as an athlete where you really you need to know that you've got it in the tank when you step it up. And at this stage, all of the training is done. All of the athletes are prepared as best they can. There's nothing more they can do now when they come into this competition that can win them a race. But coaches so often tell you there's a lot you can do that can lose you a race. And so by that they mean you have to manage that level of performance that you are going to give, and in terms of energy output in the heat throughout the week, but also in terms of your sleep management, your nutrition, how often you spend stood up if you have that capability. And it's all about the full packages of an athlete, because everybody in this water is trained to their optimum, their maximum, to bring them to this point. And so from here on in, it's about doing everything you can to ensure that the best version of yourself turns up to the final of an event. Heats are important, but ultimately, they're important in one sense, because if you don't do them well, you don't make the final. But then, as we see here, that comfortable swimming this morning, these athletes will think the heat was necessary, but it's the final that's important.
You see the reaction there of Bas Tucken, the winner of the heat. So-so, his hand tells us. Doesn't seem too happy, doesn't seem too unhappy.
Well, that's the other thing, isn't it? You can't read too much into anyone's performance, so you can go on your internal feelings of how you feel as an athlete, but you can't really take much confidence or lack of confidence from where everyone else positions in the field, because you don't get inside their head. You don't know how they approach the race.
Yeah, Bas Tucken beats the great Maxim Krypak comfortably as well. Krypak there was on cruise control for the majority of that 400 freestyle. 4:10.59, the winning time. Almost pedestrian, really, for Bas Tucken, who entered this competition with 4:03.89. He says it's all right. He's happy with it. 4:10.59, the winning time. Then Backstoke will make the final comfortably. The only one to drop is the Iranian, who finished in 9th place, Zina Zeyghanminejad. And here we see the women's iteration. Same scenario in that there's just the one heat. And here come the athletes. Aurélie Rivard, the world record holder, set that in the Pan Pacs last year in Cairns, Australia. She goes in lane 4. Olivia Jaboinska is a name familiar to many. Real competitor in this class. Monique Murphy of Australia will challenge. Zara Maluli, relatively young in this category, but her baby face betrays her fierce competitive nature. And she's already got a medal at these World Championships and do not count her out of getting another one in this event. There is Aurélie Rivard of Canada. Similar scenario to the race that we've just witnessed. 9 swimmers, 1 to drop.
Well, that quick reaction there coming from Paralympic champion Aurélie Rivard in lane 4 for Canada. She is also a brilliant 50 freestyler, world record holder, so we know she's got that speed, and she's one of those athletes that really can span across the entire range of these freestyle events. She had a day off yesterday, didn't swim the 200-metre individual medley. We saw Monique Murphy in the heats for Australia in the 4x20 point relay. 50 metres, each stroke for her, the lower class relay. So she's had her first outing, but this is her favourite event. She's the silver medalist from the Paralympic Games in Rio. Zara Maluli there, that black out of Great Britain going well in lane 2. She had a brilliant swim in the 50 metres freestyle earlier in the week to make that podium. She finished so strongly as well, which was great to see. She's up against the British record of Tully Kearney, who we now see swimming in the S5 category, 4:42.37. That has stood for a number of years. So that's the time that's in Zara Maluli's sights.
Yeah, it's been a little while since Tully Kearney was an S10, and it shows the flux that so many of our para-athletes are constantly in. Aurélie Rivard, the world record holder. The championship record belongs to Elodie Laurenti of France, set that in Montreal in Canada. I think I'm right in saying Elodie not at this championships.
No, Elodie Laurenti, she retired.
Such a shame. I used to love watching Elodie swim.
She was another athlete, always smiling, always there or thereabouts on the podium in a number of events.
She once gave me my favourite moment in any interview I've ever done. It was at the German International Championships a couple of years ago. And I was on the deck doing the hosting, and Elodie swam a world record and was told to go and interview her while she was at the end of the pool, still in the water. And I said, Elodie, you just swam a world record, how do you feel? And she was lost for words for about 2 or 3 seconds, and then just said a word that I can't repeat on air. And burst into tears. It was absolutely brilliant. You know, she's very much missed in this S10 class. But there's so many new swimmers coming in off the back of her. it's genuinely difficult to keep up. Zara Maluli definitely part of that new crop, and she's going on really well for Great Britain here.
She is, absolutely. And Aurélie Rivard is someone who people think has been around forever. She must be
so
old.
young.
Yeah, 23 years old. And it's exciting times for this S10 classification. Every so often you just get that surge of influx of new athletes that really move events on. And this is an opportunity for that to happen. We could see a number of these faces around for a while yet. We can see Zara Maluli there with eyes, her and Aurélie Rivard looking at each other with eyes on each other as they come to turn into this final 100 metres, all looking very smooth. We've said it before, there's only this one heat, they only have to drop one swimmer, so nobody's really going to give too much away. It's all about getting in and feeling comfortable for tonight's final. So Monique Murphy there we can see taking it slightly easier. Obviously phenomenal athlete, phenomenal story. She made the World Championships in Glasgow in 2015, having only lost her leg the year before following an accident, and then to come 2 years later to the Paralympic Games and get that silver medal. The resilience that these athletes show is incredible. As we say so often, every para-athlete has their story. Aurélie Rivard here now starting to go to her legs, starting to pull away, so she wants to secure lane 4 for the final, because in a tactical race like the 400 metres, position is important so that you can see across the field, so you don't get taken by surprise from anyone in an outside lane.
Yeah, she's gone along pretty quickly this morning as well, Aurélie Rivard. 4:36.77. She is a very decent swim indeed. Zara Maluli picks up a very, very good time, 4:37.87. I think it's a brand new PB for Zara Maluli.
It's actually a brand new British record. We talked about it, and there it goes. She just took 5 seconds off of that British record that we were discussing earlier in the race. We said she looked good.
She did, and to keep pace with someone like Aurélie Rivard just shows how good Zara Maluli is feeling at present. Olivia Jabłońska picks up 3rd place for Poland. She'll have a decent lane. We're just waiting for the results to come in for the rest of the lanes, which will decipher who is the swimmer to drop for tonight's final. A strong swim from Aurélie Rivard, who's such a competitor. She's never going to let herself be beaten in a heat. Zara Maluli pushed her all the way. And the results are in, I think. And it looks like one of our swimmers on the outside lane is going to drop. Just going to wait for that confirmation, though. Slight delay with them at the moment. Here we go. There are the confirmed results. It is the Spaniard Julia Benito de Tena who will miss out on the final. Michaela Jenkins of the USA will claim an outside lane. Aurélie Rivard will go head-to-head with Zara Maluli and Olivia Jabłońska. Monique Murphy will have a lane pretty close to them as well, should she wish to stake her claim for a medal place. We move on, we're heading towards the end of the programme this morning. Now the turn of the SB7 breaststrokers. And that is a face familiar to many. Carlos Serrano goes in lane number 4. Such a brilliant breaststroker to watch. Only one heat of this one. Serrano, the world record holder, be looking to stamp his authority on this race in the heats. Blake Cochrane of Australia goes alongside him in lane 5. But at least on time swum this year, Carlos Serrano in a class of his own. Will that be the case in the water here at these World Championships?
Lightning quick reactions there from Carlos Serrano Zarate, the Colombian in that centre lane. Blake Cochran, one lane up for him for Australia. He's an example of an athlete who came into this classification. He took it by storm. He really moved it on. And then Carlos Serrano Zarate came in and did exactly the same. Cochran, the Paralympic champion in London. Zarate, the Paralympic champion in Rio. Again, we're seeing a heat where only one set of heats for this. Only 2 athletes needed to be dropped. So those athletes in the centre lanes have that opportunity to take it easy. But someone who's not taking it so easy is Igor Efrosinin of Russia in lane 2. He leads at the halfway stage.
Yeah, rattling along really well as well.
He might not be in the viewpoint of Carlos Serrano Zarate yet and Blake Cochran, because on breaststroke it's really difficult. You're looking forward, so you don't see someone out of the corner of your eye, and by the time you do, it's normally too late.
Yeah, Igor Efrosinin here is going to take this heat down, I think. Serrano going along nicely, but it's not going to be enough for him. 1:17.86 for Efrosinin, which is a brand new lifetime best for him. Huge swim, European record to boot. Fantastic swim for the Russian, and maybe something to think about for Colombia's Carlos Serrano. 1:18.37 is by no means slow, but he's capable of a lot quicker, and now he knows where the rest of the field is with regards to tonight's final. Fastest one through, though, is Igor Efrosinin, European record. And a nod of the head suggests he knew that was coming.
Great outside lane swim there. He won't be in the outside lane tonight.
No, he will not. Here are the confirmed results then. A good African record as well from Christian Sadi of South Africa, back in 7th place. Joao Campos and Yuri Bajinski are the 2 to drop for tonight's final. Middle lanes will be occupied by Igor Efrosinin, Carlos Serrano and Blake Cochrane. 2 heats coming up for the women's 100 breast SB7. And here come the athletes. That is Tess Rootliff of Canada. She has the middle lane in heat number 1. Got Maria Pavlova and Oksana Krul for company. And Dula Duskova and Zheng Tingting of China are either side of those. And from Indonesia, Noah Aima is on the outside.
Zheng Tingting of China, the only athlete starting in the water closest to our screens in lane 2. But the best start there coming from Maria Pavlova of Russia and Tess Rootliff of Canada in those centre lanes. Rootliff is in personal best record-breaking form this week. She's a Paralympic medalist on the individual medley. Strong breaststroke swimmer. And Pavlova attacking this first 50 metres, trying to get ahead of the rest of the field. They know that there's a strong heat coming behind them. So they want to get in a good performance because, again, like I said, on breaststroke, it's very difficult to see people when they're not right next to you. So you want to get a good lane for the final. Ukrainian Oksana Krul also going well. She's a fly specialist, but she has been known to pick up some medals along the way in the breaststroke events. She's the current European champion. She first burst onto the scene in Reykjavik at the European Championships in 2009. She won the gold medal there in the 100-metre breaststroke for the SB6 category. Bronze medalist at the World Championships back in Glasgow, so great pedigree. But here, Tess Retief has decided that she's going to try and get back on terms with Pavlova as they come into the final 5 metres.
And he came in towards the touch, and Retief looks like she's just about turned that round at the end of it. 133.13 wins it for the Canadian. Maria Pavlova coming in just behind in the end, just touched out by Tess at the death. Bandula Duskova was in the mix as well. Still waiting for the time from Oksana Krul, which I think will be third. As they were at the mercy of the timing system, which is a little slow this morning inside the London Aquatic Centre. There it is, updated. For us inside the venue, can tell you Krul was indeed third. Almost in no man's land between fourth and second. Not too close to either. A good swim from Tess Retief of Canada. Strong through to tonight's final. 133.13 the winning time. Just touching out Pavlova here. It's close. There's the confirmed results. Retief, Pavlova and Krul, the top 3. Potentially an anxious wait for the likes of Duskova, Zheng and Aymar. As Liz mentioned, a bit of a stacked field in heat number 2. Emilia Vinter, Jessica Long, Abby Tripp, Tiffany Thomas-Kane, Naomi Somiera, Nandiano and Mira Jean-Marc. Very strong lineup for a second heat, that. Another Canadian in the middle lanes, Abby Tripp. Big smile on her face, she's enjoying her time here. Jess Long and Tiffany Thomas-Kane either side of her though. In a strong heat.
Well, on paper, there's not a lot separating the main contenders in this event. But so that means that the medals could potentially come from anywhere. We're yet to hear Advanced Australia Fair in an evening medal ceremony. But Tiffany Thomas-Kane, the Paralympic champion from Rio in the SB6 category, now she's in the SB7 category. She's grown, so she's swimming really well. She poses a real threat and serves an opportunity for that to happen this evening. Lots more medals at stake. Jessica Long there we see in that white hat of the USA this morning in a suit that she designed herself, all her favourite colours in it, turquoise and pink. She's going in search of her 40th World Championship medal. She actually gets married 1 month today, so that'll be perfect preparation. She can go home, she can enjoy the celebrations and just continue them for the biggest day of her life. But here, Tiffany Thomas-Kane looking extremely strong for the Australians.
Yeah, this could be their best chance of a gold medal so far. Tiffany Thomas-Kane looks imperious here. Doesn't have the quickest time this year. That actually belongs to the lady in lane 4, Abby Tripp. But Tiffany Thomas-Kane has led this one out and is really setting down a marker here this morning here in London. It's going to be a very quick time, 1:30.36. That is very quick. New championship record that will be, I think. It is indeed for Tiffany Thomas-Kane. It goes inside the old one for Jessica Long, which stood at 1:32.46 from back in Glasgow. The world record still belongs to Elizabeth Marks in Rio in 2016. But Tiffany Thomas-Kane means business today. 1:30.36, confident heat swim. Jessica Long taking second in 1:34. Abby Tripp a little bit further back beyond that in 1:36.
Well, we've said it a number of times this morning, but that's another set of heats that sets up a very, very exciting race for this evening. Tiffany Thomas-Kane should have the whole of Australia backing her this evening. It's unlike them to get to day 3 of a meet without a gold medal on the board.
Looks pleased with that. Tiffany Thomas-Kane as well, she might. Brand new championship record in the heats. 1:30.36. A couple of seconds shy of world record pace, that. Here are the finalists then. A few athletes dropping in that one. And that is a loaded final, if ever there was. Tiffany Thomas-Kane leads it out in lane 4. She'll have Tessa Retief and Maria Pavlova either side of her. Jessica Long and Abby Tripp 2 further beyond that. That is a strong middle of the pool, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Last few individual events of the morning then. Men's 100 meter freestyle S13. Two Uzbeki swimmers in the middle of this one. Islam Aslanov and Muzaffar Tursunkajayev go in lanes 4 and 5.
Well, this will be a quick race. And the best start there coming from lane 4 is Islam Aslanov of Uzbekistan. 2 Uzbekistan swimmers up and already forging ahead, separating themselves from the rest of the field.
Yeah, Tursunkajayev going on nicely alongside him. Yeah, it's an Uzbek 1-2 as it stands. Aslanov leading them home. With 25 metres to go, doesn't look like anyone not in an Uzbeki swim hat is going to challenge the leading 2 here. Next closest in lane 3 is Ivan Salguero of Spain, but the 2 Uzbeki guys are absolutely flying. It's Aslanov who wins it, 52.14. Tursunkajayev just in behind in second place. And it is Salguero who takes 3rd, but that was a very impressive swim from Islam Aslanov of Uzbekistan. 52.14. He can go quicker than that as well. He will need to a little bit later on in the final. We'll see why in just a moment.
Well, you can see the 2 swimmers in the centre lanes. They got off to the best starts and then they really never looked back. Aslanov there, saving his best performance of the year for these World Championships. That time that he won that heat with is his quickest time this year.
It's the confirmed results then of heat number 1. Islam Aslanov is followed by his compatriot from Uzbekistan, Muzaffar Tursunkajayev. Ivan Salguero picks up 3rd. .2.14, very quick. There's no guarantees it will be enough for Challenge the gold medal though, and this is why the great Ihar Boki goes in lane 4 in London once again. He's the world record holder, as well as the Paralympic champion. That's 2 Paralympics in this race. Kirilo Garaschenko alongside him, as well as Carlos Fahrenberg of Brazil.
Ihar Boki there in lane 4 for Belarus, getting away well. That reaction time sets him up, and he has an amazing underwater and already opens up almost a body length on the rest of the field.
That underwater is just timed to absolute perfection, isn't it? Given that obviously these swimmers are swimming with a visual impairment, I haven't got the best sense of that, but his timing is impeccable.
Yeah, and it's all on feel. We see here underwater, he times his breakouts perfectly so that he maximises the use of that underwater, minimises the resistance, and we can see that's where he does the damage on the rest of the field. I mean, he's got incredibly quick swimming speed too, but quite frankly, it's often almost over, already over, because of just the skills that he has off the start of the turns.
Yeah, magnificent performance this from Ihar Boki. It's quick for him as well. 51.03 is not a million miles outside world record pace. It's one of his more recent world records. Set that in Dublin last year at the European Championships. 50.65. And given that's a heat swim and a bit of a dust off from last night, that looks a little bit precarious now. Ihar Boki once again in commanding form in this London Aquatic Centre pool.
Yeah, I think that's the most dangerous we've seen him look this week in the heats. He looks so comfortable, and when athletes have these big programs and these vast ability to swim a number of strokes, they do tend to hit a sweet spot with a certain event. And at the moment for Ihar Boki, it does seem to be that this 100 freestyle is going extremely well for him. That's the quickest he's been this year, almost 0.8 of a second quicker than he's been throughout this year, and as you say, tantalisingly close to his world record. So again, maybe not such an excitingly close race tonight, but an exciting race nonetheless.
Yeah, ominous form from the Belarusian. 51.03. Kirilo Garaschenko, perfectly good time in 53.78, but didn't get anywhere near the great Boki. Alexei Vyachenko will pick up 3rd. Here is tonight's final confirmed. Then Boki will be in lane 4, where he is most at home. The 2 Uzbekis that will flank him, Islam Aslanov and Muzaffar Tursunkajayev. 2 Ukrainians either side of there, and 2 Spaniards in the outside lanes as well. No symmetry in that race.
Yes, I like a bit of symmetry.
Our final event in the individual programme today is the women's 100-metre freestyle S13. We do have the relay to come after this, so do stick with us. There's another Uzbeki swimmer who we thought looked fantastic yesterday, Nigarakon Mirzhokadova. She goes in lane 3 up against Anna Stetsenko of Ukraine, a far more experienced campaigner. Daria Pikolova, Kachi Dedekins to her right. Or to her left, I should say.
Well, there we see a great underwater again from the young Uzbekistan to the Mirzhokadova. She swam incredibly well last night to make the podium. She's back this morning. And we do see a lot of these athletes really utilising that underwater effectively, and it often makes a difference. So the rest of the field now have come back to Anastasenko of the Ukraine. We know she's a fast finisher. We saw her finish well. She's the Paralympic champion. But getting the touch by 1/10 of a second is Daria Pikolova of Russia in lane 5.
Yeah, close finish. This one great race so far. Final 25 metres. It looks to be between those central lanes. Stetsenko in 4, Pikolova in 5. Mirjokadova pushing hard in 3, but I don't think he's going to be in the conversation for first. As they come to the wall, it looks like it is going to be Stetsenko, and it is. She just touches out Pikolova. 0.13, all that was in it. Mirjokadova, 2 seconds and change back beyond that. A strong swim from Anna Stetsenko of Ukraine. Business-like performance. She's straight out of the pool. Job done. See you tonight.
Yeah, we saw her put in an impressive silver medal performance in the 400-meter freestyle, but she saved a lot of speed for that last 50. So we know that she's got the endurance, the back end, as it's often known in the swimming pool in a race, the second half of that race. So we know she's got that strength to bring it home. And it's exciting because, again, another fast heat coming up.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Anna Stetsenko then gets the win in heat number 1. Daria Pikolova was not far back, just 1300ths, and Nigarokon Mirjokadova finishes in third. Katia Dedekin will hope she's done enough for a place in the final, so too Marion Pollo Lopez of Spain. Here's the start list for the final individual race of the morning then. The heat 2, the women's 100 free S13. Carlotta Gili goes in lane number 4. The world record holder, 57.34. Set that in Rome last year. Shock Solonkon Toshpalatova and Ayana Sujiuchi on the side of her.
All pretty evenly there. The best start coming from the top of the pool. Gia Piroli of the USA, a medalist at these championships already. She'll be looking to improve on her entry time, get herself into that final, into the mix. She's obviously in great form, the American who went to Mexico, got some medals there. So this now her first taste of a full World Championship lineup.
Yeah, down they come towards the finish, final 25 metres. Carlotta Gili has company in the shape of Sujiuchi of Japan and Toshpalatova of Uzbekistan. And it's going to go close, this. Looks like Sujiuchi has an ever so slight advantage as they come to the wall. It's very, very close. Goodness me, 0.07 of a second in it. And in the end, it is Toshpalatova who gets there first. Just in front of Gili, just in front of Sujiuchi. The Uzbekistani swimmer will have lane number 4 in tonight's final, 60.26. Oh, that final is loaded, Liz.
Absolutely, after that fast start from the outside, it was in fact the centre lanes where the action evolved as we approached that final. We are in for an exciting race this evening. I don't know how many times we said that. We could just record a soundbite and keep playing it. But it's true, the quality of the racing at these World Championships has been mind-blowing.
Yeah, it has been fantastic. Just seen the lineup for tonight's final. We'll bring that to you in a second, ladies and gents. It should be a belter. Means it will end in style tonight, that's for sure. Means that when you come and join us later on this evening from 6 o'clock, you're going to have to stay with us all the way to the end, because the racing just keeps on getting better and better. A reminder of the results from heat number 2. Toshpalatova wins it just in front of Sujiuchi, just in front of Gili. Joanna Mendak was in the mix as well, but only just into the final. That's how quick the standard has been over these 2 heats. We'll take a look at that final now. Toshpalatova is quickest through. She'll have lane 4, flanked by Sujiuchi and the world record holder Carlotta Gili. Anna Stetsenko and Daria Pikolova will be outside them. Mirjokadova will have Katia Dedekins and Joanna Mendak for company in the outside lanes. Fantastic race that coming up this evening. one of those where medals really could come from any lane. Well, here we go, it's relay time. Really looking forward to these. I love a relay.
Everyone loves a relay, Steve.
First out were the Egyptian team. They'll occupy lane 7 of Mexico in 2. And here is the full start list. Turkey will have 3, Australia in 6, China in 5, and Brazil in lane number 4. Chinese team in lane 5 are the current world record holders from back in Rio. The team has changed a touch since then. Chinese did break the world record yesterday in the mixed relay. This is 4x53. 2 swimmers from each nation gathered at both ends of the pool. The classifications work as such, only permitted to have 20 points in total in your team.
Rachel Watson there, Australia just entering her lane from the side of the pool, so she'll get herself into position and then we will be ready to go.
Just wait on the blocks here. A couple of our swimmers. Patience required. Swimmers at the other end of the pool wait for their turn. Whistle blows in. First heat, the mixed 4x50 freestyle relay, 20 points.
There we see a Rangers start. Diego Lopez Diaz of Mexico being held by the feet at the start there. Top of the picture, it's Alia Toufik, Egypt's first ever World Championship medalist. This gets them underway, starting from in the water but out in front as we'd expect. It's Lu Weian of China. She's an F8 swimmer going against S5s. Great to see Joana da Silva back in the water for the Brazilians. She had a bit of an issue at the end of yesterday's final. She's back though, putting in a good leg for her team as the Chinese touch first and hand over to Wang Li Chao, Brazil in second. They'll have Susana Ribeiro, the S4 swimmer, on their leg for them.
Yeah, look at the fly kick go for the Chinese swimmer in lane 5. Wang Li Chao, double amputee. He started at an incredible pace and he just couldn't keep it going. So he started to smooth out his fly kick. And he will hand over to Liu Benying of China, the S3 swimmer.
Well, China have front-loaded their team. They went with an S8, then an S5. Now Liu is at S3, and they'll be finishing with Peng Qiping, who is the S4 female for them. The Brazilians now, Susana Ribeiro touching. She hands over to S6 swimmer Taliesin Glock. He'll be looking to try and make up some ground as he hands over to Brazilian great relay maestro. It's Daniel Diaz that will swim the final leg for the Brazilians. The Turkish swimmers now in the water is Sumi Borgaki, the teenage sensation. She's swimming with her leg fly kick. This is a freestyle event, so you can do whatever stroke you like as long as you continue the entire stroke for the entire length. Grant Scooter Patterson is currently in the water for the Australians, and he just got overhauled by Ahmed Ali, the S6 swimmer from Egypt.
Well, here we go towards the finish then at the top of the race, and Brazil are about to complete a comeback here. I think Taliesin Glock set them up for it, and now Daniel Diaz is going to lead them home into the finish. Brazil's tactics paying off there. They've timed it to perfection. They win it 2:30.23, the winning time. China will finish in second place, and then a big gap until the rest of the fields.
Bülent Utraki is currently occupying that third position for Turkey in lane 3. They used a team of 4 S5 swimmers, and it seems to have paid off for them.
Yeah, in come Turkey in 3, 24 seconds back in third place.
The Australians just finishing there with their higher class swimmer, Kira Stevens, the S10 athlete, and now we see in your picture in lane 2, it's Mexico's Raúl Alberto Martinez Valdez. Tight finish. Just gets the touch there ahead of Egypt's Youssef El Sayed. As we saw, their tactics play such an important part. The Chinese, the early leaders, they front-loaded their team with their higher class athletes. Their females went bookending the race, and the Brazilians, they back-ended their team. They put out their ladies first, and then the men brought it home, and it paid off.
Yeah, don't forget the teams can change from heat to final, so tactics will play a part in different changes. Can happen, and don't be surprised if they do happen.
Some countries have the luxury of depth and can rearrange their combinations. There is that result. Coming in, Paralympic silver medalist Brazil winning that heat. China second with Turkey third.
Yeah, they look strong there, Brazil. Good performance from them. Here comes our second heat, though. Spain, Kazakhstan, Germany, Italy, Ukraine, Greece, and Russia. Russia in an outside lane, but they didn't register a qualifying time, so something of an unknown quantity. They have got some real talent in their team, though. This is going to be close. Italy, the silver medalists from the mixed relay.
Well, we've talked about the range of tactics involved in this relay team, and the Ukrainians, who were brilliant in the equivalent medley relay yesterday, they've gone off with their highest class swimmer and male, so they've gone off with their fastest swimmer first in Andrei Trusov, whereas the Russians out in lane 7 have done the exact opposite, and they've started with the slowest, and they are building through to their fastest swimmer. So here you see Trusov coming in to the wall. He'll hand over to Olga Tvedeska, who's an S4 female athlete. So they gave that head start, and now she will do as much as she can to maintain that lead, consolidate that lead that they have. The chasing pack will be coming. The Italians have got a strong team.
Yeah, back come the Italians on this second leg. Francesco Bocciardo, with 25 metres left of his freestyle length, is playing catch-up, but doing it very effectively on Team Ukraine and Olga Tvedeska. In they go then towards the wall. It looks like Italy may take over the lead here, and they do. Great work from Bocciardo. He hands over to Ariana Talamona, fresh off winning her first ever World Championship medal yesterday. Are Italy going to get themselves on the relay podium once more? Talamona is giving them a great platform here. He's up against the Ukrainian in 5. That's Denis Ostapchenko, S3 swimmer. He swims freestyle on his back. And at the minute, he is not going to be getting anywhere near Ariana Talamona of Italy. Third place currently belongs over on the far side to lane 7. That is Russia. Dmitry Chernyayev in the water for them. They're just about to take second place as things stand. While in lane 3, really good swim so far from Josia Top of Germany to get them into contention for a good placement here.
Now the Italians have Antonio Fantini, their S6 400-meter freestyle world champion. On this final leg, there's nobody catching him but the Russian Artur Kubasov. The S5 swimmer is going very well, and he's going to do everything he can to hold on to that position as Ukraine's Elzbieta Mareshko charges down the pool. But it is Italy that get the win. The Russians are coming in to consolidate that second place, and then Mareshko will come in third position for the Ukrainians.
Yeah, it's going to be Germany who end up in fourth. Denise Graal is pushing hard to hold on to that. She's under a little bit of pressure from lane 1, and Spain. That was Antonio Ponce Bertran on the anchor, coming in quickly. A couple of swimmers still in the water. And just finishing there in lane 6 is Greece, with Georgios Faltos. And one more still to come in is Kazakhstan. Yezhan Selimgareev about to complete the race for the Kazakhstani team. But a couple of good relays there. Mouth-watering prospect, that final later on tonight.
Absolutely, as you said, Steve. Some countries have the luxury of substituting athletes, changing their combinations. It's the freestyle relay, so you could just move around who swims which leg within that team. Lots of opportunity for a very different outlook tonight, very different scenarios. It's going to be exciting, difficult to keep up with.
But we will do our best. Should be a lot of fun later on this evening, that's for sure. And that really has been the theme of day number 3 here in the morning here in London. We've seen lots of phenomenal swimming over the first 2 days, but it's sort of been about 50-50 between really close races and really outstanding individual performances. Tonight, there's only about 3 or 4 races where you think, yeah, they probably should have it on lock. The rest, totally up in the air, and that's what we really do love to see. So many close finals are in the offing tonight, and we cannot wait to bring them to you. Confirmation of this result is just about with us, we think. Antonio Fantini being wheeled away to go and prepare for tonight. He's worked very hard as ever. Here's those results. Italy win heat number 2, Russia 2nd, Ukraine 3rd, Germany 4th. Followed by Spain. This is your relay final then. Coming up tonight, the final race of night number 3. We'll see Italy in lane 4. Great swim that. Look at the time compared to Brazil in 2nd place. Brazil and China will go in lanes 5 and 3. Russia and Ukraine will offer significant threat from the outside as well. All set up then for a mouth-watering final session here tonight on night number 3. The kids have been in, they've enjoyed themselves this morning. Let's hope they're back for tonight. Morning 3 has delivered us so much entertainment. Do join us tonight. You'd be crazy to miss it. We're back at 6 o'clock.